in here. So if you just want to have it close to your face, you don't have to have it on your lips, of course.
Like right here.
Yeah. So about right there, just for the audio sake and.
Okay.
I don't know, make us look cool, man.
Yeah.
I have a lisp as well, so it covers the lisp so people can't see it. So it may be my own self-conscious thing.
Oh, dude, Mike Tyson, man.
Yeah, that is true, but he can fight.
Hey, you're working on it.
I'm trying, man.
I see what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that I noticed on your Facebook, and honestly, when you posted that you were wanting to do a podcast, I was like, man, I'm trying to live like Jim Carrey in Yes Man. When you're just saying yes to opportunities, because this is one of the types of things that's like new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an anxiety, almost like I'm used to not doing things in life, maybe lack of opportunity or just fear of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, yeah, this is a little bit outside of my box.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, that you feel that way, because I was thinking about this the other day of this type of imposter syndrome that I have, because when I look at my life and everything that I've accomplished, even though it's small and I want to do bigger things, I don't, it's hard for me to believe that it's me. You know, like with the weight loss or with the meeting people with podcasts and people like being nervous to be on my podcast. I'm like, I'm nobody, basically. Like, I'm just a regular guy. So
are you talking about when you don't feel like it's you, is it because you didn't cultivate all the opportunities 100% by yourself?
Not necessarily, because with the weight loss, I'm the only person who could, you know, and I worked out 98% alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see it's me, but like, I don't know, man. It's like when you get on the other side, it's not even the other side of a fence. It's when you start watering and taking care of your own grass and your own garden, and you start to see results. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, I know the work I put in, but we're always used to it being somebody else, especially with social media and being able to look at celebrities all the damn time. We don't think it can be us until it is us.
Yeah. And
with this, I'm like, man, only like 20 people watch or 25 people. So when you say like, yeah, man, I'm nervous, I'm like, well,
yeah,
you don't have to be, because I'm not like Joe Rogan or anybody. I'm just Julian.
So you know the truth of it all, like you did this, but it's still kind of hard to believe.
Right, man.
I was driving my new truck that I got the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my dad have needed to haul things off from our house for years.
Yeah.
And now I have a truck, and just because it wasn't the rinky-dink car I've been driving, and I was driving this truck, I didn't feel like I necessarily belonged in it.
Yeah.
I just had a natural anxiety of driving that truck. I was allowed to, had my license. I was going to go pick up wood. Like, I was doing everything that I should have, but it's almost like, dang, I can't believe that, like, God,
just growing up, man, just things are happening. Yeah, that's the weird thing. I had to talk to my siblings the other day, because we grew up not going on a lot of trips, a lot of family vacations. Our family was really dysfunctional, and I was talking to them like, man, we're older. Like, we don't have to wait for mommy or daddy or grandma or whoever to plan a trip. We can go now.
Yeah,
you know, and it's just this realization that you are now able to take control of your own life. And that's why when I see people like being upset over this election, I'm like, of course, things are going to change. Shit's going to happen. But control your own reality. Yeah, do what you can to survive, to live, to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, and some people just can't find that. And with me, that I tried to live my life like that. I'm in the gym almost every day. I'm podcasting as much as I can because it makes me happy.
That's beautiful.
You know, and I try not to be intimidated by the outside world, because I know if that fear is being shown, I know predators are going to try to
capitalize on the fear.
Exactly. And I'm not saying predators in the sense of like people physically harming me or robbing me. I'm talking about people who would take advantage of me of lack of knowledge or fuck me over in deals and shit like that. And it's just like that. But when you carry yourself in the way of I'm meant to be here, people start to feel it. Yeah. Even with like when I try to do speeches or poetry or stuff like that, you see people get up on stage and have stage fright, or it take them a long time to get in the groove. And to me, that's more embarrassing.
Yeah, you can confidence is one of the only things that you can fake a little bit.
Yeah.
The dangerous part is only keeping it in act. Maybe start out with it being somewhat of like a, not persona. You don't want to be something you're not, but to give yourself permission. Because everyone, by the time they're a child growing up and maybe starting to become an adult, they get trained into needing permission to do things.
Yeah.
You know, with parents watching over us and being raised, it's a good thing that we're not in charge of our own lives completely. And so by the time, a person is 18, whether it's their parents or the world, you have to have permission for so many things. You got to get a license. You got to get a certificate to have a certain job.
Right.
And that trains a mindset and a feeling that people, they don't believe that they can't do things. They just have a feeling that they're not allowed to.
I like that. And I was watching this video, and this guy, it was like a YouTube short, and he was talking about alpha mentality. And he was like, when you go to a restaurant, you will see people say, can I have the burger? Can I have this? Instead of saying, I order this, or I request this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the changing of our speech that change the way people perceive us. There was this one time I was done with this poetry event that I hosted, and I went into the boxing gym where the guy was to lock up. And he went to go lock up, and this girl was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I saw you here once, and I just want to let you know I'm proud of everything you're doing. You look good. Your skin looks good. When you walked in, you felt like a man talking. And I was like, damn, like, again, it's that imposter syndrome. It's like, I watch anime, bro. Like, I have action figures, comic, but like I don't feel like that. But when you demand respect, you know, and that's where people feel it.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 4-year-old, and I don't want him to be bullied like how I was bullied. I don't want him to be made fun of. I don't want him to be taken advantage of. And that only starts with me honing those skills for him to pick up on later in life.
Yeah, there's so much hereditary. Like, I think I heard my dad slightly say a while back that my grandpa was a warrior. And then I see a little bit of it in my dad, and I see a lot of it in me, too. And it's what if, you know, faith is the evidence of things
unseen,
hoped for, that's unseen, but fear is the evidence of things not hoped for. You know, faith and fear work the exact same way, but fear is Satan's weapon against faith.
Right.
But they work the exact same way. So he's a copycat, and every good thing the Lord makes, devil has a weapon against it. Kind of just works in the negative tone. And but yeah, I've seen that in myself, and I'm sure if you know anything about Mike Tyson, Cus D'Amato said difference between a courageous man and a coward. They're both afraid, but it's what they do with that fear. You know, the courageous man, he goes out and does something regardless of the fear.
Right.
And the coward stays behind because he's controlled by the fear.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. When people talk about like anime or cartoons and things like that, and they say, oh, it's for children. Children don't, even if it was for children, right? Children don't understand the deeper message that the anime or the movie is trying to get across. Like, for instance, when you said the difference between a courageous man and a coward, that came up in The Lion King. When Simba was like, Father, like, weren't you scared when you were fighting those hyenas? Of course.
Yeah.
But I was worried about you. Like, you were my courage. You were the reason I was able to roar loud and to stand. Right. And it's so unique to see, because when life is done right, and I'm not saying right, like there's a fixed way of doing things, but let's just say if you had a family, if you had spouses who loved each other, who only saw each other and not other people, they loved their kids, they took care of their family. Whatever is in the bank account doesn't matter. But if everybody in that household loved each other and it's happy, that is the perfect life to me.
That's riches.
Right. And it blows my mind that people take advantage of children or take advantage of their spouse, and they go searching for something that's not there. And to me, that takes away everything that God had planned for us. Be fruitful and multiply, meaning go out, find your significant other, and love. You feel me? And when you were saying Satan is the opposite, that's totally true.
Yeah.
When I was having the podcast not too long ago about addiction, he was talking. I didn't get to mention this, but it was like, man, let's just say we are able to play God for a little bit and play out your life simultaneously. We see the recovering addict, and we saw how great you are now. But if we can play your life, if you never got sober, same man, let's just say you met the same people, but that butterfly effect of hurting this person, and then you're bleeding into their life. Now they're probably have trauma from your past or because of you, and now their life is bad. But on the flip side, we get to see the happiness and the joy that now you get to bring to people's lives. He was saying he met this yoga instructor when he was in prison, and she singled him out, asked him, what are you going to do when you get out? And he was like, recovery. And just through that time, they built a bond, and now she's the mayor of Bristow. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, how dope is that? How complete strangers meeting each other, and now just a little conversation sparked you to become 5 years sober, and all that time that you were able to meet other people, talk to other people, get your kids back, from that small interaction blossomed something great. And we always look at the bad stuff like, yeah, the bad sucks, man. But if we get to see really what true evil is, we would fiend for the goodness. You know, like we don't understand the blanket that we put on this, let's just say, call it sin, you know, like this addiction or hurting people, robbing people, manipulating, all that. We put a blanket on it and just blame that individual. We're not seeing the lives that are impacted.
Yeah. The trick about it is that there's a mask on top of it that makes it seem like if it was an entity, like a good person, or there is something to gain from it. Sin has pleasure for a moment. And so, I mean, if we only saw the repercussions of it, sin, evil, or just like bad in general, like, yeah, of course we'd stay away from it, you know, like we would be more willing to make the sacrifices of love. You know, love is so sacrificial. It's laying yourself down for somebody else. It has nothing to do with your own gain. Right. So I think selfishness and the envy and pride and all that is a direct, weapon against that type of sacrificial love. And I see a little bit of that in myself too, me being like a younger man. I'm not a single child, but with my parents being divorced and me living at my dad's most of the time once I started becoming like older in my teenage years, I was like, man, I get to do kind of, just write my own schedule. Yeah. Hang out with whoever I want. And so, I mean, I got pretty used to that. I started liking that. And so now I'm starting to see little tendencies to where I'm worried about myself a little bit more than others. And I also have those spurts of actually getting the, just true understanding. Actually getting the, when it hits your heart, you have that actual understanding. You
that epiphany, yeah.
You can have that understanding of something, but still not really. Right. It doesn't click. So having that click of the joy that comes from sacrificial love, giving everything I have, not really trying to hold on to my life, because the Bible says anyone that tries to hold on to their life will surely lose it, but anyone that gives it up will surely keep it. Right. And so there's always like two sides of the fence, and on each side you're convinced that this side is really most important. Yeah. And then another season, this side is more important. And that's what I battle with being a servant and being generous, and then being like a businessman and gaining. Yeah. Because I'm growing my art business and trying to make sales and honestly trying to take God's job away from him sometimes with how successful I am. How can I provide for my future family? I got a beautiful girlfriend now, and I'm like, I know that she didn't come into my life because of my efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a prayer answered. And so I'm like, I just have this huge bad habit of stealing his job.
For sure. Yeah, and that's something that just comes with experience, and it comes with time, understanding that because of the effort that we put in, we get so lost in like our own success.
Yeah, the works.
So yeah, like 169 pounds, man. That's a lot. I don't give myself a lot of credit, but when I think about it, I'm like, bro, like it wasn't. It couldn't have been me.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been me for real.
Yeah.
Because I got to 477 pounds. I quit so many jobs because my ankles were swollen. I used to not provide for my family at the time. Me and my son's mom split up, but I start to see the man that I am and think, how the hell is this?
Yeah.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
Right? It had to have been an intervention somewhere in this path, and I feel like and that's the thing when people say God is like just like he's righteous. I'm not gonna say all love because there's parts in the Bible he did not love, in the sense of you hurt my chosen people, or I'm doing this to show my power, right? He's righteous, meaning everything he does is good, regardless if it's murdering people, killing people, saving people.
It was like
regardless,
the work on the cross did not look like a good thing.
Exactly, and that's the thing. But when we start to think righteously, we'll start to separate ourselves and be like, okay, what is the definition of righteous? It says in the Bible, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord.
Yes, and that's like a reverence. Like, if I'm right here, and my dad trained me in a way. Nah, I won't use this as an example, but let's just say I'm hanging out with some homies and they're like encouraging me to smoke cigarettes or something.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, my earthly dad, he's like, son, stay away from cigarettes.
Right.
Out of my love for my father, even though he ain't around, he don't know what I'm doing. Like,
Right.
I could do it and get away with it. But that reverence that I have for him, it's a respect and a love through covenant relationship. I'm like, I'm going to stay away from these cigarettes, you know?
And how beautiful the feeling, because people don't understand that when you know something's wrong and you've been conditioned to believe it's wrong because it is wrong, it's that much harder to fall into peer pressure. But
Absolutely.
when you grow up with no guidance, you grow up in the hood, or you grow up, your parents let you do whatever, it's easy.
Yeah, the truth that you know, because every type of truth out there, regardless of there being one truth, our emotions preach to us a sermon every day. They preach to us a different type of God's word.
Mm-hmm.
And my emotions tell me that vengeance is the answer sometimes. So if I didn't have anything contradicting that or leading my spirit into discernment, like, that's it. And I love the fear of the Lord. We understand the word fear as like intimidation.
Yeah.
You can't be intimate with something if you're intimidated.
Right.
Like, I couldn't have a beautiful relationship with you, my brother, right now, if I had any intimidation or fear from you. I could be in this room, but I would not open up the same.
Makes sense, yeah. And that's what's difficult about the English language, is that we don't have words that explain words, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So in the Bible, there's like 4 or 5 different words for the word love.
Yeah.
Right? And with us, it's just love.
Mm-hmm.
It's just love, right? And I gotten to the point to where I heard love, I've been cheated on. I heard love, I was mentally abused. I heard love, and I was physically abused, right? So with my son, I tell him, I appreciate you. If you appreciate something, you're not going to throw it away. You're not going to trash it. You're going to value it as if your life depended on it. And that's how I treat him every day, as if I appreciate him, because I do. I'm going to make sure he's fed. I'm going to make sure he's loved, because everything good that's in my life came from him. Right? And it don't have to be children. I only got the epiphany from my son. I don't know if I would be this man now if I didn't have him. We'll never know. But because of that, and knowing that some people have a child and don't do anything with it, or some people can't conceive, it'll be wrong for me to destroy that blessing. Right? And that's why there's a big endless open thing about like abortion or giving your kids away for adoption. Like when I hear it, I have like mixed emotions because I understand and sometimes I don't understand. But what I try to do is conversate to where all my questions are being answered and the other person is feeling heard. Because the one thing I don't want to do is show somebody false sense of I'm greater than you type of deal, right? Because I'm nobody. No, why would I look at you and be like, well, why would you do this, or how can you do this, right? Yeah. But in my deepest, darkest closet, I'm doing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Like, we have to stop getting to a point of like just blaming people and shoving hate around like it's just normal. You know, like, of course there's some women who can't give birth, right? That hurts me for when I see people out here just having sex for no reason and having kids and aborting them because they don't want them. There's people out here who can't conceive, right? But on the other hand, when you see somebody who's been forced to have sex, or it's hurting or like killing them, like something went wrong and it's killing their body, then I understand, like, yeah, that shouldn't.
It turns into a heck of a battle of figuring out what is right and wrong, because that is the type of topic to where humans, of course, it being such a long-going conversation, it should show us that, like, man, we are struggling to really understand what avenues is, how should we respond as humans to this, and that's just as wrong as anything is sitting here and trying to write our own book of right and wrongs.
Right, because like, we don't have the answers.
We know what the Lord, in a lot of cases, definitely frowns upon. But he said, while we were sinners, he sent his son on the cross for us.
Right.
And died not for us to be able to go into heaven. He died for our sins. He took them so that they wouldn't be a concern to us anymore.
Right.
Now, of course, we don't want to just like deliberately take advantage of his grace or anything.
Exactly.
But yeah, the fact that we carry on these conversations that the Lord has already, they're cases that the Lord has already taken into court and taken care of.
Right.
He already paid those fines, and it's sad that these types of things are going on, but it's also just as sad to give it this much attention.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man, because America is such a unique place in the sense of like just a whole bunch of different ethnicity of people, right? We have different cultures, different religious views, different everything. And it's hard to govern a people if not everybody's like, I'm not saying one track minded, but all on the same page, or at least in the same damn book, right? Yeah. Like when you look at other countries like China, majority Chinese, right? Mexico, majority Mexicans. They don't have problems that America has because America is like, feels like an experiment.
Yeah.
So when we say, well, God wants us to do this, well, what do you tell the Hindu Americans or the Chinese Americans who don't believe in God, but their life is still being impacted in this way because the people who do want it to be this way. But to them, it doesn't fit the same. So I get to a point to where, of course, we should have our values and our morals, and people should have their own ideas and not be led like sheep. But if you can't come up with a solution that both sides win, you have to just, what they say in the hood, chuck it up to the game, right? If somebody wants to have an abortion, that should be between them and whoever they believe in. If they don't believe in anybody, it should be between them and themselves.
Them and God.
Right.
And they might be their own God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in that way, we have now set a level of middle ground, right? I can disagree with you. You can disagree with me. But that now opens up conversation. Well, why did you do this? Or why do you feel this way? Why don't you feel like you're important? Instead of saying, I'm this way, I'm that way, we can never figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like our job isn't, of course, when someone's in a tough situation in life and I'm in front of them, they just did something maybe they're not supposed to do, or it didn't honor God or something. Of course, maybe telling them the truth of God's word is a part of it, but making sure that they obey what you just told them out of God's word isn't your job.
Right.
You know, it's like our job, there's 10 commandments, 5 of them happen to do with loving God, and the other half, those 5, we're loving people. So God wants us to love him above all else.
Right.
And then right after that, because we could use that as an excuse to not love people. No, I'm only going to love God, and I'm going to tend to, this life's just me and him. I'm not having to do with any of you. I don't like you guys. No, he gave us instructions. He said, love your neighbors, you would love yourself.
Yeah. And that's the unique thing about Christians nowadays, right? So I'm a Christian, but in a different form of what people may think Christians are. There's a big debate about just the Bible in itself, right? But I believe the people in the Bible at that time were black people. There's a lot of
Jesus wasn't white. I promise you, Jesus wasn't white.
But there's a lot of evidence that prophesy that things will happen to this particular race. They will forget who they were, right? They will be sold on ships. They'll be sold into slavery. There's only really one group of people that it happened to. But I say all that to say people look at the Bible and only understand what they were taught and not what it really, really says. And when I started to really understand what each verse said, or each chapter, but like if you ask a normal Christian, they probably only read Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Genesis, Revelation, maybe Exodus, things of that sort. They don't read the other things that truly shows God's power, God's love for his people, and who he truly is, right? And we start to give people who are quote unquote lost this idea of God that's not true. So when we say, oh, you shouldn't have an abortion because God said so, well, God also said not to eat pork. People do that anyway. They say, well, Jesus died for all sin. It doesn't say that. It doesn't show evidence that because he died, these certain things are not there, right? And if that was the case, then the 10 Commandments shouldn't be followed. The only things Jesus says should be followed. But throughout the teachings of Jesus, he said, these are not my words, these are my Father's. I came here to show you how to live in these commandments. Everything Jesus taught was from the Old Testament. But you will have these Christians that would say, nah, the Old Testament was the old, we're in the new now. There's things in the Bible that God said, this will happen in the new covenant that has not happened yet. Therefore, we're under that old covenant. We're not bound by the old covenant, meaning if we had sex with somebody else's wife, both of us would die. If we ate swine, we will die. We're not under that law. We're under the law of grace for sure. But like you said, we can't play with that grace because it's like, hey, I'm paying your debt for right now. So whatever money you have, it's on me. And then you go up and run up another debt. Hey, you said you got, no, I only had it for this. I didn't say keep doing it and keep doing it. Excuse me. And that's why, like, Christians need to understand that there's a way to approach and love people without bringing God into it. Because like you said, we can introduce people to God, but it's not our job to change them. It's not our job to do whatever, but just being friendly.
Absolutely.
Being everything a Christian is without telling me you're a Christian. Right? Tell me it's okay that I had an abortion because I'm loved. Right? Tell me it's okay not to feel like a bad person because we're all human. We all sin.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody that has a wound needs it filled with the word Jesus or the word God. Like you were saying, the actions or I think that was my last podcast. He was saying the actions really dictate who you truly want to be shown. And that's what, oh, come on, Alexa. That's the unique thing about what we're about to talk about with art that now allows people to release all this pent up emotion into something visual. And I don't know, man. I just wish people would like have these conversations of just calming down and just talking.
Yeah.
Right. Because of how comforting it is to be vulnerable on this podcast and look across and that person softens up. People come in here and probably not want to give the whole spiel because they feel like either I will judge them, people in the future who will see this will judge them. And I'm like, man, this podcast is only for the people who feel like you. That's it. It's not anybody who thinks they're better than you. I don't have billionaires watching that think, peasants. No. I've had recovering addicts. I've had rappers. I have artists. I had comedians. These are the people I want in my circle. And what's frustrating is, I don't know if it's on your Facebook at all, but I have left and right wing people. And I keep seeing these people say, oh, I'm deleting a lot of people today. And then I see my other friends saying, well, people are deleting me. And I'm like, I'm friends with both of you.
Yeah.
Right? I don't hate you because of this. I don't hate you because of this. What makes me like, why am I in the middle? Why can't we all just be middle people? Right? Why can I not? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm talking.
No, you're good, you're good. I know what you mean. It's like, I wanted to be, when I was growing up, I was fed up with people. Oh, life is an argument.
Yeah.
There's a war in our spirits. There's a war in our minds. Constantly, there's a war out, like.
And with the world, yeah.
And I was like, no, the best place is to be in the middle. Mm. And the Lord started dealing with my heart. And he's like, the place in the middle is sitting on a fence. Now, that doesn't mean that when you go on one side, you hate the other.
Right.
He hates hatred. Mm. He has hatred for the things of evil.
Right.
Because it is only death and destruction. It is only theft and murder.
I agree.
But laying your life down for not your friend, but your enemies, the ones that actually killed you, like Jesus, they wanted to throw him on a cross, but him being like, I'm going to get on that cross. I'm not doing it because you put me on there. I'm doing it because for you. I'm going to purposely be up there, not for all these other people besides you. It's you. It's the one that's putting me on the cross. I love the story in the Bible where Barabbas was like an actual murderer. He was a theft, a killer,
right?
A like crazy, violent revolutionary. I don't really know everything about Barabbas, but yeah, they had Jesus who had never sinned, and then this dude standing next to each other. They were like, "Who do you want? Who are we crucifying today?" And everyone that was initially following Jesus and loving him for all his miracles and everything was like, nah, put Jesus up there. And they were like, what do you say about this? He didn't say a word, like a lamb silent before slaughter. And that's what's so beautiful. But yeah, I tried to be neutral. And I realized that that's not the only way to love everybody. Mm-hmm. That's not the only way to help, because you can be on one side and still love your brother and sacrifice everything you have for him.
For sure. And I don't want to say like be in the middle in the sense of like just agree with everybody.
Absolutely.
I'm meaning like,
and I didn't take
no for sure. I just wanted to clear it up.
Yeah.
I mean the middle as in, if the water is rough over here and the water is rough over here and there's dry land right here, let's all meet here. Right?
Yeah.
Some people, they want to get wet and drown and try to struggle and survive. That's fine. But if we can meet here and everything works out, then that's what we should do, right? Like with abortion, to me, if it has a heartbeat, it's alive, right? But would I be in front of an abortion clinic with posters and signs? Of course not. I will try to be that individual when they come out, heal them in the sense of, how are you feeling? Are you okay? Because we start to think of these people as quote unquote murderers and not human beings. We can't look at somebody and judge their action, and we either are a male who will never get pregnant or a female who probably has never been in that situation. And people, there was even bracelets. What would Jesus do? A lot of Republicans, they say they're Christians. No Christian value is being shown by actions of yelling at people or telling them they're going to go to hell, or
yeah, they're getting wild, huh?
Right, and then you have these Democrat people who, let me be woke, let me be free, let me not think about God, and in the middle there is something that's beautiful there, right? Why can we not? I don't know. I feel like if we just led by action instead of like just verbal, because I can't be the person. I'm not the type of person who will tell you I'm going to do something and not do it.
Do you think on one side, the Democrats being like, man, let me be free, let me not think about God, is because they know that there is a sense of conviction, just like a parent would give you, in order to, like, you know, they don't want that conviction because there is tension there.
Right.
And then on the other side, Republicans, they embrace that conviction, but it so quickly burns into a raging fire of condemnation. And Democrats were just that type of person that seeks freedom, and they truly are seeking freedom.
Right.
They don't know the difference between condemnation and conviction.
Yeah, and so what I think it is, I think it's generation upon generation upon generation misrepresenting the name of God. Right? If you ask just your regular Christian, does God hate? They'll say no. But there's
scriptures where
he says, I hate this person. I hate this person. I hate this. I hate that. And we, again, just regurgitate things that we hear and that we feel. Christian is now a feeling instead of an actual way of life. Right. So when you see these people, you're like, man, you hurt me because I was gay. The Bible says, if I'm gay, I die, right? They start to have these ideas that you and God is the enemy. In reality, it's these people's poor action that is the enemy. And then when you look on the other side, you're like, well, you're disrespecting our Lord and Savior, the one who saved us. And now it's like, you're the enemy because we're defending God. But for them, they're just defending their free will or who they are. And that's why America is such a unique place to live in.
Just like always.
It's always back and forth because there's not a set thing to hold people together. If America wasn't, you can believe in whatever God you want. If the world was like, if America was Christian as the Middle East was Muslim, things would be a little easier, right? Even though I'm not a big Muslim guy. I don't know what they do, but when you look inside a mosque and everybody's praying, that's beautiful. Throughout their day, they do whatever, but they stop it to go serve God. Christians only do that on Wednesdays and Sundays. So, regardless of what they do, if Christians started to live more Christian-like and people started to open up to just an idea of love, then I think we can start healing wounds and bonding things. Like, you can look on my podcast and everybody on there is just different. Like, me and you probably grew up totally different, but we've been talking for 40 minutes already and it felt like 10.
Yeah.
Right? And it's because I respect you and I want to show you that love and networking and everything is worthwhile, because on this side, like, there's hate and there's love. On this side, it's beautiful. Even though there's righteous hate, righteous love, like things of that nature, it's still beautiful over here.
Yeah.
Right? What's gonna come from me and you fist fighting in the street?
Absolutely.
We're both gonna go to jail.
Yeah.
Probably one of us will die. Like it doesn't make it work, right?
Yeah.
And that's why there's like a couple things that is universal: food, music, and art. Right. So let's start the podcast. 40 minutes into it.
Yeah,
let's
awesome.
let's introduce you, what you do,
Hey,
all this fun stuff.
man, that's awesome. What an intro.
Thanks, man. I
Yeah.
try.
I am James Northwather, your friendly neighborhood artist.
Yeah.
I am 22 years old, and
Oh shit, you're young.
I am.
Oh shit, I'm old.
Nah,
I'm
you're 26.
I'm 26. Yeah, but man, like I remember 22, guys. Oh, anyway, my apologies.
Yeah, no, I'm your friendly neighborhood artist, and that explains about half of it. I paint windows for businesses. I started doing wood cutouts, like cartoon characters, all different types of things.
Dope.
Man, what I write a little bit of rhymes, but I, above all else, am a son of God, and that's kind of where it all starts. Of course, most people think like you believe in God, so all you ever do and all you ever talk about is like a sermon.
Yeah.
You know? But no, dude, I paint windows, I longboard, and by the age of 14, my dad, not 14, by the age of 4, my dad had, spoke and lived out a little bit of scripture and said some things like, anger is a choice. And that kind of clicked and woke me up to a few things about, like, not everything about the way I feel and perceive things is the truth, and not everything I see and perceive has to be that way.
Yeah.
Indefinite. And then as I grew up, I wasn't in my Bible or anything. Growing up into my teenage years, started smoking weed when I was like 13, and kind of just became a completely different person. And then, got in a relationship when I was like 16 to a girl in high school, and then the weed started to become a little bit more of my God than God was. And I just leaned on it, only because I leaned on it for when I ate, when I slept, when I felt nervous, when I wanted to chill.
Right.
Just when I wanted to watch a movie or anything. And
I'm an advocate for weed, right? And do it responsibly.
Right.
Right.
I see you got some blunts.
Yeah, but see with me, and that's I didn't want to like sidetrack.
No.
But weed medically does so much
Right.
of wonderful things, but just like every
Yeah.
good thing, there's stigmas behind it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of them types of things. Yeah.
Right, but you cannot put, like you said, put things over God. But
Yeah.
just throwing that out there.
Yeah, no.
Weed heals. It does amazing
And I'll say
things.
this, you're not smoking bad stuff either. I walked in here, I could tell.
I was trying to hit it with the sweet and seasoned air freshener under there.
No, you're good. You're good.
But no, I mean it.
I completely understand it.
Yeah, it's to each their own for
Right,
sure.
right.
But yeah, I can see how that will control somebody's life.
Yeah,
just like alcoholism, just like everything. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not saying alcoholism is for everybody, but
Yeah.
it's just, I
was
feel
a
you.
teenager, lack of self-control, lack of discipline.
Right.
As I said, when I was living with my dad, I kind of got to control my own schedule. So, in a way, like I was my own God in a lot of ways too. I still wanted to hold the Word above my own, but without being in the Word and without truly seeking out God every day and just in every season, it was so easy for me to just fall into whatever relationships and everything. And so I come out of high school, and I was with the girl for like 3 years, 8 months, and halfway through that relationship, the Lord was speaking to me that we were best friends, but we were also unequally yoked, and it wasn't His plan. And I was like, man, I understand the pain that would come from me dipping out on this situation. I'm going to stick around. And so the extra half of that relationship, by the end, I realized I'm only making this worse by sticking around. This person needs to move on, and I'm not their person, so I'm holding them back from the husband that the Lord wants to bless them with. And I can't save them because that's a missionary relationship. I'm not the one that saves. I'm the one that plants seeds and stuff. And so I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to have to give this to you because I obviously don't know what to do. And let me just say, anyone that's in any situation in life that is out of your own hands, the reason why it's out of your own hands is because it doesn't belong in your hands. You're supposed to willingly give that to God. And it's going to be nervous because you might not even trust him to take it and do well with it.
Right.
But through that type of faith, he will honor that and he will take care of it. And that's going to lead me to all these years later. I'm with this other girl that I know that the Lord sent me, and my mom comes into my room one day before church, or a day before church, and she says, "Hey, guess who's coming to church today?" And it was my ex-girlfriend,
Oh, wow.
her new husband, and their baby. So he answered my prayer completely. I said, "Lord, okay, obviously I can't have everything I want in this situation, but I want you to have what you want. I pray that she comes to Jesus and that she has a good husband and that she gets what I know she needs, which is a family that I couldn't give her." And it was just seeing his faithfulness, and that was incredible. And that was probably one of the most painful situations in my life. I had an aunt pass away. I got diagnosed with diabetes when I was 15, and nothing compared to that breakup when it comes to pain.
Oh shit, I know. Yeah.
And it was incredible. So seeing his faithfulness in that, I was like, that's a start to to a whole bunch of trust in him. But yeah, when I was 19, I don't think I got rebaptized. I got baptized for the first time, and I still had long hair down to here.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I was a hippie.
Good.
I was a hippie on accident. The only reason why I had long hair is because my dad, dude, he looks like Mr. Clean. He looks like Santa Claus. Now I got a big old beard.
Oh man.
And he said, me and a brother that my dad took custody of, we were at my dad's house, and we said, "Should we grow out our hair?" And he said, "Boys, this is your future."
Yeah, use it before you lose it, man.
And so I grew out my hair down here. Everyone was calling me Ginger Jesus.
Yeah.
And
it's a great name.
Yeah, everyone knew me as Ginger Jesus. And yeah, so then it was a little while after I was 19, maybe it was when I was 20, that I was sitting on my porch one morning, and just like God had warned me halfway through my relationship with the girl through high school, that this isn't for you, he also started speaking to me about that with, smoking too much weed. And by then I was also drinking with friends and Adderall and mushrooms and stuff like that, because I never realized that in all that I was seeking him. All these people that we know, and just throughout the country, throughout the world, they're seeking these highs. That is a desire in their heart that the Lord gave them. They just don't know that they can get high on the Holy Spirit. Highest I've ever been, and the best, most pure high I've ever been, was in the Holy Ghost. And you feel like you're floating.
Right.
But it's holy and it's pure. And it's wonderful. And it's just like the difference between sex within marriage and sex outside of it. Sex itself is not a sin.
Right.
But it's the context in which it honors God. But so, long story short, I was sitting on the porch one day and I was smoking a joint. And I told the Lord, I was like, I'm never going to be able to go another day, Lord, without needing to wake up and take a few hits before I can have a normal conversation with my own dad in the other room. And without being cranky or anything, you know? And I didn't realize, but by saying that I was never going to be able to go another day without needing it, I was actually giving up my way of trying to take care of the issue. It was an act of surrender to tell him that it's impossible. Because he loves doing the impossible. He likes hearing that word. And And so a week later, at this college ministry up Blue Star in Claremore, the AMP station, I was hanging out with these people doing some artwork for this little summer group because there's no AMP station services on Sunday nights over the summer because it's college-based schedule.
Right.
And I'm hanging out with these new people, and for like 2 days doing this artwork, I was on their schedule, hanging out with them, and I hadn't even realized out of my busyness that it had been a day and a half that I didn't smoke any weed. I quit accidentally.
Yeah.
When the last time I talked to God about it, it was something that was impossible. And so that's a huge part of my testimony, because a month and a half after that, I threw out my vape, and it was, kind of completely changed my life.
Like an awakening type deal.
Yeah.
And that's unique. So 2 things that you said that I don't know what it is for today. So, like I told you, I had a podcast before this, and he said damn near almost verbatim what you said, in the sense of he had he had a wife that he had children with, and he was using her as an example, not an example, excuse me, but as the reason why he will continue drinking or why he's doing this. And his sponsor was like, why are you blaming her? And he was like, well, because she's this, she's that, she's this. And he was like, take her out of the equation. What is everything you did? Right? And once he came to the realization that, man, he had a lot of at fault himself. And he was like, man, I just started praying for her. I started praying for her to find somebody. And she was about to marry somebody. And he was like, yeah, I started praying for them. I started praying for their marriage to be stronger and all this extra stuff. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I started to feel that because, like, with my son's mom, she cheated on me when I was trying to be a better man for me, for her, for our family. And for the longest of times, I still held resentment. I wouldn't have prayed for her. She sprained her ankle. That's how I was at a certain point in time. And just hearing you two both said that, it sparked something just in the idea of, well, why didn't you just start leading with love at the beginning? Of course, there was an underlying reason of why I felt resentment. Nobody wants to be cheated on. Nobody wants to be lied to. But it goes to show that with you dictating how you control things that happen to you, you are now able to show a possibility of betterness, right? If you wasn't the type of man who would pray for her, or the type of man who would stay around, who knows what type of woman she would be? Who knows what type of man you would be? Y'all would probably have a kid and separated and now dealing with shit that's difficult.
And I knew that was a real possibility.
Right. And with me, I was so blinded, and what Satan did beautifully well was to have me think like a man when I was still a boy. I thought I could be a father. I thought I could be a husband. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I had my 21st birthday, and a couple months later, I was a father.
So
that's not
man. No, I think that's to this day.
Oh, sorry, allergies.
I probably have that same mindset of me just trying to be my own hero, just being a man right now.
Right.
And people say, I get the idea of like men 50 years ago, 16 years old are more man than I am at 22 years old, and in some ways that might be true depending on the definition of being a man.
Right.
But in a lot of ways not so either, because I'm going to be 83 years old one day and I'm still going to be God's child.
Yeah,
I'm still going to be a baby just learning how everything's going.
We don't get the true understanding of life until we're about to die.
Yeah. Yeah, it's humbling.
It is,
Humility.
but that's also a beautiful thing, because at a certain point, I want to get so old that I'm tired of living. That's the goal.
Yeah.
There's people out here dying 20, 19, kids with cancer.
You have 120 years.
Yeah, so if you have the opportunity to grow old, not even the opportunity, if you have what is the word I'm looking for?
Like the provision,
The privilege.
The
privilege of living old. You have to make everything worthwhile, because I started smoking weed when I was about 19, 20, because when I was younger, I thought it was bad, of course, being a Christian. And whatever, anyway,
yeah,
a Christian at the time, or what I thought was a Christian. I thought weed was bad. But once I started getting older, I started to have my own idea of the world and what is beneficial for myself and what the word actually says and what science says, in the sense of this is doing this scientifically, right? We're not making these numbers up. It's actually healing people. It's actually making their pain go away. Yeah. It's actually doing X, Y, and Z.
And people with schizophrenia,
right,
eating some mushrooms and stuff.
Right, man. So like a lot of stuff happens, and we get so caught into, and this is what Satan does as well, even to Christians. We make it we make it to where we say it's from God, but in reality it's just our own.
Yeah.
So, do you think God has you go to confession and count Hail Marys and all this extra stuff? He doesn't say that anywhere in the Bible.
Nah.
Right? He doesn't say you have to go to a building and sing songs. He doesn't say any of that.
Yeah, my heart's an altar.
Right. Love your neighbor as you would love me. Mm-hmm. Go out and make disciples, not go out and have people pass around collection plates, or, show up every morning for Sunday worship and at night for night. He didn't say all that.
Yeah, that's not really the sacrifice.
Right. And what happened with all the anxiety and the pain that I had, I started to realize that the God that I needed was not the God that I was taught. The God I was taught was, because of Jesus, you're allowed to do this with no repercussions, because if you say, Lord, forgive me for my sins, it's over.
Oh, for real?
Right. Something around that.
Yeah.
Around that ballpark. It's been a while. But when I started to read it, and he was saying that you can be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started to believe that.
And it's not because of us.
Right.
But
exactly.
He's made us perfect.
Exactly. Be perfect for your Father in heaven is perfect. I believe that's...
Be holy. Which holy is perfection.
And that's what people need to start understanding is, like you said, so there's more than 10 commandments, in the sense there's 10 written down.
Yeah.
Right, but God tells you, God tells you, he tells the Israelites a lot.
Yeah, 634.
Yes. Yeah. And it just as simple as don't shave your beard.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
yeah. The long hair, I cut it because there was a scripture in the Bible that said a man shouldn't have the hair of a woman. Since then,
interesting, because Samson had long hair.
Absolutely, and Jesus and his disciples were running around. They didn't have a barbershop in every corner. They had locks,
actually.
Right.
Actually, Samson had dreadlocks. I think it was one of them.
And so I've further realized, like, maybe he knew that me having shorter hair would probably just make me look a little bit more like a businessman.
And that's the thing. It's like, that's why we can't wear women's clothes. We can't shave our beard, because we are distinguished apart. Like, I made man, I made female, right? Yeah. You have to, you have to live by design, because you start to see when people are not living by design. I'm not the type of person that say, if you love another man and you're a man, you're going to hell. I'm just going to tell you what it says here. But I will talk to you as an individual. I'll talk to you like I love you. I'll talk to you like it doesn't bother me, because it don't, in a sense. Right? What you do does not bother me at all. But to be human is free. Right? Be a Democrat or a Republican takes time. It takes effort. Like, you got to read up. Oh, what is this person doing? What is it? If you just be human.
Yeah.
As simple as that.
Yeah, I love what you said about, like, I'll tell you what it says here, but because the truth is what sets people free, I can't set you free. I can draw a pretty cool picture for you.
Right.
I can't set you free.
Right, and that's the coolness of just hearing people's stories, because we all come from somewhere, but we all meet at a certain point in time. Like, it's so I have this weird thing where it's like let's just say we finish the podcast right now, right? You hop on the highway. There's people on the highway. Mm-hmm. Where the hell were they at an hour ago? Like, how do we all like not all, but like.
Oh, it's such a network.
It's such a like life is so random. You don't know who you'll meet, right?
Right.
You'll go outside and there's people at the stop sign just like waiting there with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, like I was doing X, Y, and Z before I came here. What were you doing?
And the way that you're explaining this to other people, they're probably like looking at a screen like, what is he even talking about? Because you're saying it so simple and plain.
Yeah.
But the concept itself. When you think about the intricate detail and the chance behind every single thing that happens, a leaf on a tree, it's like, dude, everything we're seeing is miraculous. The fact that it's just commonly happening doesn't mean that it loses its value. And that's what's wrong with the world is that everything we see is miraculous. Everything we see was breathed into existence. But we brush it off because we expect it to be there the next day. And we know that, like, okay, we just expect luck pretty much, and then when it happens it's so taken advantage of because we forget that it happened miraculously.
Just like driving, man, like just driving period, you get to where you're going safe.
It's like bees in a nest.
How rare is not rare, but how lucky are you? You're going 65 plus miles an hour with other people you've never talked to, will never see in person again, and you all make it, God willing, safe.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, have you ever went to a restaurant and it was just you in there? No, there's other people enjoying food.
Yeah, all the people were like, I want a fajita as well.
Like, that is so great. We're all connected somehow, some way. And once we start understanding that, man, life will get a lot simpler. And like I was saying earlier, there's 3 universal things: art, music, and food. We can all, like, even though like our taste buds are different, but if somebody made me and you fajitas, we'll both enjoy these fajitas.
Yeah, we
like
eat fajitas for sure.
Right. And like if it's music, if we're both vibing to this music, I don't need to know your name. I don't need to know your religious background. Right. We like this music.
Before we know each other's names, we're going to be best friends.
Right. We talked almost for 50 minutes without introducing you. Like we knew each other forever. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that's the beauty. So when you finally have this epiphany of, Lord, I need to be better. Was it hard for you to follow in that way? Because with me, when you look at these 10 commandments, they're not hard to keep. They're
absolutely
not. No. But for us, we get so conditioned to, I'm human. We're born into sin. We're sinful creatures. We allow ourselves to do sex out of marriage. We allow ourselves to hate our neighbor because we're saying, we're sinful. Jesus was human.
Yeah.
That's what people need to understand. He was human.
He went through every single temptation that we went
through.
The only difference is that he overcame it to fulfill the law so that he would be the spotless lamb of the cross.
Exactly. And what people don't understand, you talked about the crucifixion, but people don't understand when he told his disciples, stay up, he went to go pray.
Yeah.
Father, if there's any other way that I can save my people without...
He didn't necessarily want to. He was willing.
He did not. He was so stressed out, he sweat blood.
Sweat drops of blood. And that's an actual medical condition,
yes.
too. Yeah.
That, to me, is the most... Like, we need to stop seeing Jesus as a fairy tale and think of him as a human. Even if you don't believe in him, look at him as just human. And everything he does outside of the miracles that we can't do, he did everything correctly. Right? There is now an example. Regardless if you want to believe in faith or not, well, did he... Well, there's some passages where he didn't talk to... Another podcast, another time. But when you look at Christ and all of the things he did for his people, why is that not something we can do as well? Right? And once that happens,
he said we will do greater things,
right,
in his name.
So what was that like with you, man? Like I'm quitting the weed, I'm quitting the shrooms, I'm quitting everything because I only smoke weed and I do natural wraps. I'm not doing all that tobacco stuff because I run a lot. Mm-hmm. I work out.
You put in a lot of work.
Thanks, man.
Dude, I'm very inspired.
Oh,
I
thank you.
take advantage of really fast metabolism.
Yeah.
And dude, it's
See, and that's why I say every man should learn how to fight. Every person should learn how to defend themselves.
yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah,
Especially,
no, I love boxing. We got to talk
especially,
about boxing.
oh yeah, we definitely can. Especially women, because man, there's people that will take advantage of women, and I
Yes.
love women. So I think they're the most prettiest, beautiful creatures on this earth.
Oh, in design, in design, I believe that God created them perfect.
Yeah, what is that saying? If God made something better than women, He kept it for Himself.
Absolutely.
Because goodness.
Yes. No.
But it also says in the Bible, one thing worse than hell or death is a woman. Because women, they will make you.
Well, Samson.
Man, whoo, yes.
It's Jezebel. There's so many parts of the Bible where, a woman outside of the Holy Spirit brought a man down, because it's like what I was saying about fear being the perfect weapon against faith, which is not perfect because, man, faith overcomes. But
that is true.
It's like a woman is a perfect complement for who a man is, what a man is. It is like God created a man, and that in itself was a perfect creation. It came from the hands of God. But God also knew that, man, this car needs a NOS bottle. And just make it that much faster.
I wish I knew what that was, guys, but
it's like it's nitrous.
Oh, a NOS bottle.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, just make that car that much better.
Yeah.
And so, without the right woman, or just them dangerous women outside of the Holy Spirit or something, it can truly corrupt a man.
Yeah, and people say like the Bible contradicts itself. It really doesn't, in the sense of it says one thing I find worse than death is a woman, but in another verse it says when a man finds a wife, he finds favor in the eyes of the Lord. A good thing. So it's like it doesn't corrupt itself or it contradicts itself. What it does, it shows two sides of a coin.
Context.
Exactly. And us as men do the same thing. We can make peace or we can make war. Everything is dictated through a man. Regardless if people wanted a woman president, let's just say a woman president won. Do you think the dictators gave a F? I don't think you cuss, so I'm going to say F. Do you think they gave a care that she's going to be president? No, we don't respect you. You're not a man. Yeah. We're going to walk all over you. And that is what people were afraid of. At least with our president now, he will look at you and be like, well, if you ever want to hurt these people, it's going to go down, right? And I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan at all?
No. I like his clips, man. I watch a lot of YouTube reels.
So basically, I haven't watched the whole thing, but I saw a clip as well. He had Trump on, and
here recently.
Yeah, and so I don't know if this is a true story, but Kim Jong-un called Trump, or however that happened, and he was talking to him, and Kim Jong-un was like, "I have a red button," and Trump was like, I have a red button as well, but mine's bigger than yours,
and it works.
And that's the thing, man. It's like, I don't like if a woman was to run the world, it would have to be ex-military woman or like a MMA fighter or something of that sort that is not intimidated.
That truly understands a masculine role.
Exactly, because I feel like with Kamala, she would have been like, "Oh no, like don't like we're not on that type of time. We're just trying to peak."
And this is not.
He's a dictator. Everything he wants, he has. I saw this Korean lady on the television. She said how it works in North Korea, if 1 + 1 is 2, and Kim Jong-un says it's still 1, it's 1. She said the way they describe it, if you have a drop of water and you put another drop of water, it don't become 2 drops of water, it becomes a bigger drop of water. That's how he runs his country. So you think he gives a fuck if you say, "Oh, we want peace," or he don't care. If he wants something, he has it. So if he sees weakness in America, he's going to take it.
Truly.
So we have to. We have to.
It's not disrespect to
no,
to women at all.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's women in the military. There's women fighters. There's women everything.
I mean, a man is a leadership of his household, not in a position of dictatorship.
Right.
He is the top servant. He is the number one servant. He will lay his life down for you. You are his prize and his crown.
Exactly.
You are nothing less than him. You are his treasure. And so the most heinous thing that can happen to a man is to be out of his position, to where he can't take care of you, to where he can't make those decisions. He still goes to you for advice. He still needs your extra hand and your extra thoughts to make things even more clear. But the number one most dangerous thing that can happen to a man is to not be the main servant, not the main leader. He's the leader because he's the main servant.
Right.
And it's out of that sacrificial love that he needs that position.
For sure, because like even the Bible says it, at the head of every man is Christ, at the head of every woman is the man, and at the head of Christ is the Father.
It's God, yes. Yeah, so it goes down.
And it, if anything was out of balance, it never worked. It would never work, right? And I try to tell women that I'm the type of man that if I made enough money and you can stay home and take care of the house and do like a side business or whatever you want to do, I want to be that man. Why? Because what you offer in return is greater than two incomes. Is greater than, me seeing you half the day or our kids seeing you half the day. As a man, you want to be stimulated sexually. You want it to be felt that you're still handsome, that she's not looking at other men, that you're providing, that she looks good, and
it's respect.
Exactly. Like I would take that over me and her working any day.
Yes.
Because if we get, let's just say 100 women and be like, who wants to go work on the railroad, or who wants to go fight the Chinese, like whoever, there'll probably be some women that be like, hell yeah, like I'll do that. But 90% of them would be like, I'd rather have my nails done. I'd rather have my hair done. And that's beautiful, because men fight, men argue, but what men do, and what we need to start getting back to, is men has solutions.
Oh yeah, no, they create solutions. They are providers.
Because if y'all seen women argue, women are mean.
They'll take whatever solution feels pretty alright.
Yeah,
it might solve a little bit, but they'll leave a little something extra for the extra, excitement. The number one thing a man needs in a household, he doesn't even need to feel as loved as he does respected, and that respect is honestly the biggest type of love that they can receive, is because so many marriages, men love going to work because they have this colony of other men, and they joke around all day, but the man has the man needs two things: is purpose and respect. So a man goes to work and he's a boss. He gets to lead these other men. Maybe they pour roads, they pour concrete or something. First of all, the task is done, and it's done in teamwork, because the team respects him enough to listen to him so that there is order in a situation.
Right.
That is him taking dominion. That is him creating. All the God-given tasks, everything that Adam was doing in that garden, that's the same exact example. But when he goes home and he doesn't feel respected or anything, man, it's like, when can I go back to work?
Yeah. Man, I stopped feeling respected in my relationship, and just recently I was hanging out with this girl, and there were certain things that I wasn't able to do, in the sense of like feel confident or feel handsome, like
your identity.
It was gone.
Yeah. Because
I poured it into this relationship, and it was taken advantage of. So I don't know how to be romantic anymore. I don't know how to make a woman feel secure, because when I thought I did, it was gone, or it was abused or tossed away. I felt like she tossed me away. But when I started to respect myself, that is when things started to change, and I stopped settling for crumbs.
That's a heck of a point right there. Is one of the things that a man needs: purpose, respect. But they can also get it from themselves too.
Right, like
self-respect is a huge thing. When no one else is around to pick you up, out of self-respect.
Because as a man, nobody's going to pick you up besides your brother.
Right, because you're a leader. Who's going to come out of their way to help a leader? The leader's supposed to be helping them. So that's probably why men don't get that.
And so you listen to Christian contemporary, right?
Like worship music?
Music, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. I listen to a lot of Christian rap.
Oh, okay. So there's this song called Shelter, I believe it's called. But basically it says, "Brother, let me be your shelter when you're out all alone." And I was thinking of that, and it was like, let me be the light to guide you home. And I was like, how unique is that type of relationship between men? We start to think, so my Alexa controls my lights. I don't know why it turns on and off by itself. So if
it's like you just got an idea, light bulb.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
But when you have men like that, especially in the hood, we think being vulnerable or being loving as a man is gay or it's bad or it's frowned upon.
It's a weakness.
Exactly. But when you have two alpha males and one is struggling and you have another one to look you in your eye and be like, "Get up, brother, you're good.
Yeah.
Keep going."
Yeah. That is intimacy.
Right.
But the identity,
that's the most form. That's masculinity right there. Like, that's what true masculinity is. Masculinity is seeing these women that is getting taken advantage of and standing up for them, or seeing these kids like Frank, the guy I had a podcast with. He said he started drinking alcohol at 12, started doing all this. He got his first gun charge at like 14, 15. And now that he's on the other side, he's giving back to where these kids are 12 and 14. He's talking to them. Wow. There's a better life. There's a better this. That is what masculinity is. Not telling women, you shouldn't do this with your body, or, I'm a man, you shouldn't work with me. That's not what being masculine is. Masculine
is taking care of people.
Exactly. It's being, like you said, laying your life down for individual, because if not you, then who?
Yeah, and laying your life down isn't dying.
Exactly.
It's dying to yourself, dying to your own desires to fulfill somebody else's.
Right.
Or to take care of somebody at your own expense. That is true leadership.
And now that I have a son, man, like I really start to see the masculine and feminine role that was meant to be there.
And does it also help you to understand who God is now that you're a father as well?
It does. I talk a lot about it, and I start to see how God is both masculine and feminine without having a gender.
He knows how to nurture.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the beauty of that is that he gave us a part of himself, but not fully. Because when I start to see women saying, "I don't need no man," or men saying, I don't need to open up," or all this, we start to see a crack in our foundation, and eventually that wave of sadness, of depression, of everything, it will burst through, and we lose ourselves to either alcoholism, sex, drug, like whatever the case may be. We lose ourselves. So when I start to see God and how we are as his children with my son, I'm like, damn, maybe life is simple.
Yeah.
When my son messes up, I don't abuse him. I don't make him feel small. I don't curse him out, because I understand he's ignorant to a lot of things that I've been. I'm 26. He's 4.
That's grace.
How can you expect a 4-year-old to know things? Or even when he's 15, how do you expect a 15-year-old to know something?
I don't know nothing now.
Right. I don't know shit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, we need to stop blaming people or telling people that they're wrong, when in reality it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not about ignorance. Is basically just not knowing something.
Yeah.
And with God, and that's the thing, when people start to dictate other people's lives, imagine just God looking down and like, y'all have no idea what y'all talking about. No idea. This is what I truly mean. This is who I truly am. You guys are dictating. Y'all shouldn't be doing this, or this place had dictators, and in reality, I can wipe you all out like that. I don't know if you've seen the movie Don't Look Up. But basically, long story short, A meteor was coming to Earth, like 5 times bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs. They were trying to blow it up, blah, 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 but because of human greed, they had like gold on it or diamonds or something. So they wanted to blow it up, collect particles, and things like that. But anyway, it ended up failing, and everybody was about to die. And to see them just powerless, everybody, the same, was going to die, regardless. Not Christians, not Muslims, not left, not right, everyone. In these moments of like harsh times, we need to separate ourselves and be like, bro, we're really powerless in reality. Mm-hmm. And for real life. If there's a lion that came in here right now, me and you are dead. We're humans, we're the smartest thing alive, but we are dead.
Yeah, you could box a little bit, but
right. Yeah, shit, I ain't boxing the lion. Nah, but that's the thing. We as humans, we start to think we're on top of the world, when in reality, we're dust.
And you know, maybe we got the farthest in our humility rather than our conquering. In Genesis, it says that He made us out of clay and breathed life into us. And scientifically, they have broken down what a human is composed of, and it's all the same things that's in soil. And I think God was really intentional about making us out of dirt, because dirt is pooped on, spit on, and stepped on.
Right.
But when you put a seed in that dirt, it creates life. And that's crazy.
And when I try to think about that, it's like, what else could we have been made out of?
Yeah.
Right?
He could have made us out of like diamonds or gold.
Right.
Or something,
and even in that, like, we don't. The Most High knows everything, beginning and end. He knew we were gonna fall. He knew we'll have this conversation here today. But because, let's just say we were made out of diamonds, right? We no longer have, I guess, humility, right? Look at me, I'm diamond. I'm beautiful. I'm this. I'm now praising just myself. I'm praising, and that's what we're kind of doing with like these celebrities or technology and like, man, you can
idol.
Yes,
the idols.
Right, and I'm glad we wasn't made out of anything greater, because we already have this lust after our own beauty that He tells us will fade. Beauty will fade. You will not be a gorgeous woman for long. Yeah. That's the thing. But what lasts is love. What lasts is that companionship. What lasts is the memories until we turn back into dust.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the simplest form of living that should be thought about. We fight, we argue, we have wars.
I heard this story about a man in the army or something. And I guess the story was from the perspective of another maybe rookie person in the army, but they're on the battlefield now. Mm-hmm. And there's this guy that just full out runs into battle.
I think I heard this story.
Like
this is an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think I heard this.
There's so many coincidences. But
right?
He runs into battle, and after the battle, I guess, when they're all like chilling or whatnot, eventually the guy was asked, like, man, how do you do all that? How do you run out there? And it's because he walks into that battle already dead. He already goes out there with nothing to save for himself. He doesn't rescue himself. He doesn't do anything. Okay. If he goes out there and immediately gets shot, no difference. But the fact that he has that, he's already dead, and that applies scripturally. He says, die to yourself.
Right.
If you hold on to your life, you will lose it. If you let it go, it will be saved. And so that man goes out there and he performs better than anybody else because he has nothing to hold on to.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that.
That's awesome.
My version was similar but different. He runs into battle and they ask him, why do you do that? And he was like, well, basically like, I fear God. If the bullet has my name on it, then it will hit me.
Yeah, it's absolutely that.
It will hit me. And that's what humans need to start understanding. Of course, there's kids that are dying of chemo. My sister, she was my aunt's daughter but my mom adopted her because my aunt was on drugs and different things. But it's my sister. She's 6. She was born 2 pounds with eye cancer. How can God let that happen, right? On the flip side, she is now 6. She is now healthy. She is now loved. She's now everything. Why can God do that as well? So we need to stop blaming God for bad things and praising Him for good things and just appreciate it all.
Yeah.
Right?
Gratitude,
I tell people,
thankfulness.
stop being afraid of dying and be afraid of living a long life and not achieving anything.
Yeah, that's my greatest fear. It sounds cliche, but I don't even know what my potential is, but I know with God by my side, it's
limitless.
Immeasurable.
There is no potential.
Right.
Like, this is limitless.
And so how much of that immeasurableness am I going to miss out on because of my own lack of belief?
Exactly. And that's why I'm glad that earlier in the conversation, excuse me, you were saying I want to do stuff that makes me scared. I want to be on podcasts. I want to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that just shows the type of man that you're going to become. You're only fucking 22, 21, 22.
22. I appreciate it. Like a gun.
Right, man. And it's like, let's just say you live another, God willing, 60, 70 years. That, your first 22 years doesn't even, you're still an infant in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Right? If let's just 80, 90,
right.
you probably won't even remember this conversation. You probably won't even remember your 20s, your 30s, because of all the great things that's just going to happen.
Yeah, and man, there's also a lie attached to that fear that I can actually get in God's way. Like, my lack of running into the battlefield is going to keep me from getting through the battle. And it kind of goes back. You did have a question earlier. We never got to. I never answered it.
Oh, damn.
But it was like, what was it like getting through, quitting the weed? How did you put that?
So when you finally decided to surrender yourself to God and saying, hey, I can't do this without you.
Right.
I don't want to do this no more. I'm not myself, X, Y, and Z. So when you started to make that transition into being a different man, what was that like for you? What steps did you take? How did you emotionally handle things? Just your experience behind it, period.
Okay. So I saw God do something I thought was impossible. Some people might not have something that looks so miraculous, but they need to realize where they're at is already the impossible being done. And then that was like, I was already past my own limits. But being able to get through it, what did I do? What did I not do? How did I help myself? I realized my own insignificance in it. I realized my own inability, that I'm not going to be the one to do all this, but because I have somebody, God, to help me, or at least give me the promise that I'll guide your steps, I want to be your protector, I want to give you the provision, there's not going to be any door open to you you're not supposed to go through. That kind of makes a person be like, well, I'm going to live a little different. I'm going to try something out. Maybe it's small.
Right.
But, I was just willing. It's kind of like repentance. I was just willing to change. Repentance is changing your mind about something. And then the Lord honors that, and He changes your heart about it. So we can change our mind, and through our mind change, our actions change. So if I was smoking cigarettes, but I changed my mind about being a smoker, identifying with cigarettes, then my actions are going to be, I don't even smoke anymore.
Right.
And some people, they'll say, well, I'm 10 days off of cigarettes. Why are you counting? Like, you're still in your mind or in your spirit, you're still considering yourself somewhat of a cigarette smoker because you remember the last 10 years a cigarette always being in your hand.
Right.
And it is hard to get past, so it's absolutely faith, but not in myself. and I was taken care of. Lord did it all.
Yeah.
No glory to myself.
And that's great, man. It's always encouraging to hear people find themselves and truly change, regardless of what that change looks like. Be proud of whomever you are. I, for the longest, was a hypocrite. I would go to church. So my church established itself literally in the middle of 3 different apartment complexes. There was a school, there was a boys and girls club. So my grandmother first started going. I'm half white, so I lived in the hood, and my mom, grandmother, grandfather all was white. So when these Christians came, they were white as well, and I wanted their lifestyle because they had 2 parents in the house. They loved each other. Even to this day, if my dad tells me he loves me, I'm like, ew, this feels wrong, right? Because you didn't tell me that when I was a kid. You called me fat more times than you said I loved you, right? With my son, easy peasy, right? But I wanted this lifestyle, but I had to adapt to the hood as well. So I had to talk a little different, or I had to act a little different. And growing up, I kept doing these things, and then in reality, I wasn't this man. And it took me a long, long, long time to start to understand that who cares about what I do as long as I'm okay with what I do. In the sense of, I don't consider him my pastor in the sense of like going to his church. I still talk to him about God. I still talk to him like on a daily. But I'm not going to look at that man and be like, well, I'm not going to say the wrong thing because he's a pastor. No, he's human. He's a man.
Yeah.
He had sex just like I had sex. Mm-hmm. He had kids just like he went to high school. He did everything.
Right.
And now I'm able to respect myself, but he is also able to respect me in the sense of, well, regardless if he's doing things I don't agree with, or he's doing this, and this, he's able to love me the same. He's able to talk to me, confide in me, and we are now being just 2 men having a conversation. Mm-hmm. And that's what people need to understand. Like, you can still, as long as it's not toxic, as long as you're not making fun of people or hurting people, you can have a conversation with somebody and think totally different. But as long as the respect's there and both of you at the end of the day look in the mirror and say, I love you, to that person looking back at you, that should be okay. So I don't want you to think like when you have conversations with people or you run into different people who think differently than you, if both of you are in, let's just say, art competition, right? You'll meet somebody and they are so totally different, but you guys connect on art and you're able to give ideas. Why break that relationship up just because you disagree something?
Yeah.
Right? And that was a big thing that Frank talked about when he goes to AA. There's lawyers, there's doctors, there's like recovering addicts that are 2 days sober. Like things of that. Everybody's there differently. You know, and he was like, man, I went to prison, and the only person that went to prison was like one dude in my AA, so I respected him. And I was thinking, because he said, man, they don't know where I've been. And I was like, yeah, they don't know where you've been, but they know where you're coming from. It may sound contradicting, but yeah, I don't know everything that you've been through. You don't know everything that I've been through. But when it comes to being better, or where it comes to finding out who you are as a man, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because I know what that's like, trying to fit in and not fit in.
Yeah.
I know what it's like trying to figure out who am I as a man, or feeling what is unimportant, or feeling disrespected. I know what that is.
Right. Right. So
when we talk, we meet in that middle ground because there's something about us that is similar. We just have to find it. Yeah. We all thought about fajitas at one point in damn time.
Right.
So we just need to be there, man.
It's like I'm Hamlet and you're the Lion King.
Yeah.
Same story. Different display. Yeah.
Okay, so I've, of course, in high school, everybody reads Hamlet. I'm not familiar with Hamlet.
Oh, I don't remember a single thing about Hamlet, but
Good.
I was told once.
I watched Hamilton. Hamilton was great.
I ain't seen that.
It's a musical, but it's about
okay.
Alexander Hamilton, and
Yeah.
it's just different people, different races and stuff. They play historical figures, and it just goes through Alexander's life, and it's really good. But yeah, I don't know.
Did you know that though? Lion King was Hamlet.
I did not.
Yeah, I was told that once. It blew my mind. I was like, dang, they just made it more entertaining. That's cool. Put some lions on that screen.
Right. There was something else that was like damn near the same. I think it was like it was Star Wars and something else. Was it Dragon Ball? No. It wasn't Dragon Ball. It was like Star Wars and something else.
Star Wars and the Bible.
You think so?
Wasn't it?
No, it was something, man. I forgot.
I think it was a religion or something. We'll look it up. Because Darth Vader. I think it's like a example or a parable.
After the podcast,
I'll we'll look it up.
But it was funny. It was like a hero who didn't know he was a hero. He falls in love with his sister, didn't know it was a sister, like things like that.
Oh, dang.
Was it Hamilton or Hamlet?
I don't know.
Did Hamlet have sex with his sister?
Shoot, maybe they were doing crazy stuff back then.
It was something, but yeah, it's just the life is connected, man, and it's a beauty. But okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here, right? You're an artist.
I am an
You
artist.
can draw.
I draw pictures.
What was that like? Because I hate when artists say this, right? I was like, man, I wish I can draw. They'd be like, oh, you just practice. No, you guys knew you could draw at one point in time. I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
Y'all knew y'all can draw and kept going. I knew I couldn't and was like, fuck it. So what was that like, man? Like your first art piece that you remember that you were just proud of?
So, man, I don't know. Comics, we have that in common.
Okay.
I grew up Superman, Batman. It was DC.
Oh, I'm a DC guy.
And Marvel. So it was the Justice League and then Marvel. I didn't really know too much about the Avengers or anything. It was basically just whatever movies Marvel and DC made back then before all the universe stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the visual pictures. I would pause Spider-Man as they were rolling, like the producers and stuff. Before the movie even started, they'd have like an animation of Spider-Man's suit. I'd pause it and just copy what I saw on a piece of paper.
Oh, that's dope.
But the way I put artwork, like how I draw, man, if I draw a circle on a piece of paper, cross hatch it a couple times, and then draw grass on the top of it, you know it's a pineapple, right?
Yep.
And so in that way, that's why all these artists are like, oh, but you can draw. You just got to do it a little bit more. It's because we're not actual creators. If I draw a tree, it's not a real tree. It's brown and green, and it's organized a little bit. And then your imagination and your eyes look at it and make sense of it.
Okay.
And so when artists do it really detailed and they put as much as they can into it, then that's where it looks a little bit more realistic.
Yeah. I saw this thing. It was like, let's just say like second grade tree, middle school tree, high school tree, and then adult tree. Like you could all tell they were trees, but they got better and more detailed over time.
Absolutely.
And that's unique. But see, with me, so my cousin, she can draw, she can sing, and I'm like, man, that would be a dope talent to have. But when I try to do, let's just say art, my mind doesn't make sense of what I want to put on the paper. Even if I'm looking at something and tracing it, it doesn't make sense to me.
That's because none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's honestly not supposed to.
But what makes sense to me, it may sound weird, is if somebody is fighting, like UFC or boxing, I would be like, oh, do this. Like, in my mind, I can, like, play it out.
Yes,
like,
it's the
throw
exact
this
same
punch
way.
or slip this way. Like, and is it like that with artists? Like, y'all can see, because that circle literally can be anything you want it to be just because it's a circle.
Yeah, so think about this. A person that doesn't know how to draw, it's only because their nature isn't designed with that understanding. So let's put it to boxing. You understand boxing.
Mm-hmm.
People that naturally fight in high school bathrooms flail fists.
Right.
that looks like fighting to them, and that's how they understand it. When a boxer slips his head to the right, which no high schoolers in a bathroom think about doing, then they know that that's a perfect setup for an uppercut.
Right.
Or a rib shot because of positioning.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm drawing somebody's face, I position these lines on the piece of paper in ideas of proportion and longitude, latitude, just a few little measurements.
Yeah.
But really it's still, at its basics, a lot of squiggly lines.
Mm.
And when I crisp them up with an eraser, it's not all about the ink, or it's not all about the lead on the pencil that makes the artwork. It's not about the talent or how I can move my hand. But sometimes it's understanding that it's a mistake on purpose.
Mm.
Like fighting. Man, some people, the first dude that bobbed and weaved probably was just trying to get his head out the way. But then he realized that it was a perfect setup for a rib shot.
That's funny, because I think the first person who started doing that, they were so confused. I think it was a black guy. But because back in the day, their form of fighting, I punch you, you punch me, whoever falls first loses.
Absolutely.
But this guy was like,
it's a tough
what if I don't want to get punched?
Yeah.
Like,
it's a tough man competition.
Yeah.
And they didn't even write it in the rule book that, okay, you duck.
Yeah.
Or, you move out the way. Just don't get hit.
Right. Yeah, and that's the beauty with, like, art, man, is it's been around damn near, like, the beginning of time.
Yeah.
And when we look at these people, like, the person who drew the painted the Mona Lisa, simple, right?
Yeah.
But people talk about it to this day, try to recreate it, or try to even do their own version. And I'm like, people were that talented that long ago? Or when people like talk about Albert Einstein and they are now proving his theories without technology, without everything, people were that smart? And it blows my mind with certain things like that, how they've been around forever, but they're still new.
So intelligence is determined by the track record of tested out theories.
Mm.
And so, man, some people, dude, everyone's got a theory. Everyone's intelligent.
Yeah. Like sculptures, dude, I have no idea how people do that. Like those big old marble sculptures, I'm like, blows my mind. I don't know.
It's like, how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
It's one piece at a time. One bite at a time.
Right, because I went to South Dakota after I graduated culinary school with my son's mom. We went to go see the 4 presidents, Mount Rushmore. And I looked at it, and I was like, that's all it is. Boring. And then years later, when I just started appreciating things, I'm like, bro, think about that. In its time, somebody saw a mountain and was like, I'm putting faces
Dude,
there.
imagine ants eating an apple into the shape of Batman.
It's gangster, bro.
It's pretty gangster.
It's so
humans are pretty cool.
Yes, we're so cool, but we mess up so much, and that's why we were talking about earlier. God looks down and be like, bro, y'all have no idea what y'all do.
He
that's why Jesus said that, Lord, Father, forgive them. They know not what they do.
The Lord knows what to do with broken pieces, and He says He doesn't require you to do all these rituals or traditions or anything. What He requires is a broken spirit. He needs us to be humble enough to be like, God, I have a broken spirit. I'm done hiding that I have a broken spirit and acting like I've never had one. I just want to see what you can do with it. And He loves to do that. Our Father is in heaven, and He works always. What is He working on? Not a 9-to-5. He doesn't have a boss that pays him. He's not doing it for a paycheck. He's doing things because they are good. In Genesis, He says, He made the earth, and He saw that it was good. He made the waters. He saw that it was good. He made the plants. He saw that it was good and all that. So He only does things because it's awesome. He is an artist. He is a creator.
And Him Himself is light. He saw that light was good.
Right. And He also saw
made the sun.
That dirt is dust. And that in itself is an example of brokenness. But He also was aware about seeds. He was aware of the seed.
I think that blows my... Like, see, this is... You probably had this at one point in time, but weed does this to you. It makes you think of things like how you said. I put it in such a simple term that it doesn't like it. It makes less sense.
Yeah, there's less depth.
But like, think of a seed, right? A seed. It sprouts something green, and then like things come out of like it just starts to grow.
Yeah.
Right, and it blows my mind. Right.
Yeah, there's a scripture that says exactly what you're saying right now. That the farmer plants the seed, but he still has no idea how it grows. No farmer can tell you how a tree grows. He can tell you that it grows.
Yeah, like scientifically, it breaks open, it does this, but like,
yeah,
we
but
can't make some, right?
Yeah.
We can't. How do we know? Like, a seed, bro, like you water it and things happen.
Oh, man,
that's so
that's
weird.
Kind of what you were saying about the traffic, too, is like, man, we hop out on that road in blind faith that we ourselves don't even understand, but yet we're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
It's so crazy, man. Like how we all just do things. Like if we look at like an ant colony, that's basically humans.
Yeah.
We just move around,
keep
doing
on zooming in,
right?
And there's just other life.
Yeah, it just we think we're just going throughout the day, when in reality we're just a big ass ant farm.
Yeah.
We're just more intelligent enough to not think we are.
Yeah. What do you think the first ant thought when he climbed up a wall? He's like, "Whoa,
bro!" It blows my mind. I don't understand. Cool. I don't understand how bugs can. Like, I saw a spider crawling up a window, and I was like, "How?"
Well, you see, like you drop a paper plate or a piece of paper, and it goes, "Won't, won't." Like, dude, those things are so tiny on that side of that tree.
Yeah.
Even if they fell, they'd fall so slow it wouldn't even hurt them.
It wouldn't even hurt them.
So they're like,
they just get up and thug it out.
Ants are super strong, but man, they're designed that tree just like nothing to climb.
Like we were meant to rule everything, but we're not greater than the most great things on this earth. Yeah. Like without weapons, what animal, like apex predator, can we kill with our bare hands?
Dude, imagine.
None of them.
Saber-toothed tigers being your main concern walking to school.
Yeah, terrifying.
That's wild.
You have no power.
Yeah.
Humans, the best thing that happened to humans is spears. The best things that happened to conquerors was gunpowder. Mm. Right?
Yeah.
Humans use tools to survive, and then they start killing each other. If people didn't have gunpowder, America wouldn't exist. All these other invasions probably wouldn't happen. Because when you say, like, you were saying, like, your grandfather was a warrior, there was real warriors out here. The only reason they got conquered is because they didn't have something that other people did.
Right.
Like, when you look at, like, the early Europeans, they weren't doing a lot of, they had diseases. They didn't have a lot of, like, resources in the sense of, like, learning how to farm and different stuff like that.
But man, they just had that.
They had the guns.
Yeah, they had that.
They had the guns and manipulation.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, man, is humans got so used to leaning on our own power that we think we're greater than we are. If a comet came right now, what gun can save you?
No gun.
What nuke can save? We probably have stuff in line. Yeah, but let's just say a big ass 15 meteors that is the size of the ones that killed the dinosaurs. 15 of them.
Yeah, we're gone. We're nothing.
Nothing.
Heaven's our next destination.
Right, bro. Like Earth didn't even exist at this point. It would be nothing.
Real quick. I'm your neighborhood diabetic as well. Do you have a restroom? Because I drank some coffee before I got here.
Right there, man. The left.
I encourage you to keep on talking to this podcast because you got crazy ideas. And you're on to something about these comments.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
yeah. Hopefully comments, man, when I was like, right there on the left. Okay. So guys, when I was younger, I used to have real bad anxiety. I did not want to die. So I used to think like every airplane or everything was an asteroid coming to kill me. But what I started to understand is, guys, I don't know what I'm talking about. I thought I was going somewhere, but it wasn't going anywhere. But what really happens, man, is when we start to look at ourselves as unimportant in the sense of we are not in control of major things. We're not in control of if we get cancer. We're not in control of if we break down on the side of the road. We're not in control of a lot of things in our lives. And when we start living like that, I think now as humans, we start to sympathize with each other a little bit more. If an old lady's walking across the street, instead of honking at her, get out and help. Because eventually the rules or the way will be reversed. You will be old one day. We just replace. That's really all we do. We don't do anything spectacular. We don't live special. All we do is replace the generation that came before us. How many 26-year-olds do you think there's ever been in life, period? Billions, trillions maybe.
Man, at least 17 of them.
Right. And it's like, eventually, you will be 26.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'll be 30.
3.5 years away.
Right. And it's like, we don't do nothing but replace generation. So what we need to do is start looking at ourselves as if we are in everybody and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
The best version of ourselves is the best servant to others.
Yeah, like,
and
like you're 22, right? I've been 22. I've been everything that you're going to be. Maybe I've experienced something that you have no idea, or that you're just coming into.
Yeah.
And I can help, right? If I can.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that even I don't know. Like, we're at the bottom and we're at the top, right? We'll always be at the bottom and at the top. When I was talking to Frank, so I do jiu-jitsu as well.
Nice.
And there's white belt and they're all the way up to black. There's people in there that are younger than me that's like blue belt, black belt, whatever, right? But what I won't do is go in there thinking I'm better than them because I'm older. They did everything necessary to get to this point. Yeah. I have to humble myself. But in boxing, you have to now respect me. There's this one dude named James. He a great guy at the jiu-jitsu place. And we were sparring one day, and it was Muay Thai. And I was like, hey, we can kick if you want. He was like, no, you're a boxer. I want to be in your world. Didn't work out for him, right? Just to say the least. But I am humble enough to know if it was jiu-jitsu, he would beat me in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So as a man, I'm going to listen, learn, and also teach.
That's good.
And once we start understanding that you're not above me, I'm not above you, I can learn from you, you can learn from me. That's really as simple as it can be.
Yeah, and that's what encouraged me to get on this podcast as well, and just kind of ask a lot of questions as I'm growing up, is because, man, it's like going to a seminar every day. Man, you just see any random older gentleman in the gas station, and you guys are about to grab the same drink, or at least in the same fridge.
Yeah.
They just ask him a question, and it'll save you 2 years of stress determining on what he's answering about, right, whether it be relationships or anything.
What I thought was beautiful, and the most beautiful thing, so black culture, a lot of people don't know this. Like, if you think of like just the history of America, how odd it is, right? Like, there's still people in this country that were slaves at one point, even though like I have never been a slave.
Yeah,
my DNA was a slave at one point, right?
Yeah. Everyone was.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
At one point throughout history, every type of race was, but definitely in America.
Right. And I say that to say, like, black people has been conditioned to think of each other as less than. It's not right. We need to fix it. But from slavery to segregation to gangs to drugs to everything, right? We've been conditioned to hate each other.
Like a competition type?
Yes, in a sense. Because now, if this group of people runs the world, right? Runs the country, and you can't be on their level, at least you can be on a greater level than the person who looks like you. So what really started to take form in that competition was drugs in the black community. Drugs brought black people money, fame, well, like power, etc.
Yeah, kind of like cartel type stuff
Right.
in Mexico and all that.
But let's just say we see these other races as king or god, right? Well, I can't get to their level. They run this. They will destroy me without no second guess. But I can trample on him because we're in the same predicament. I'm just able to beat him, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I say all that to say, when I was working at Planet Fitness, there was a gentleman I met. He was like 50 years old. And I was working with another dude. He was 30. And I was 20-something. And seeing these generational gaps and seeing how we all experience the same thing. We all have different ideas of how life goes. But we all learn from each other in different ways. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever because we start to see that walking forward, we'll get to the end. And then looking back, we'll see people who replaced us. And we have to, like Frank was saying in the other podcast, he was like, I learned these 12 steps of recovery. It's up to me to now share these 12 steps of recovery. And that's what we need to start doing with each other, man, is learning something and giving it away.
That's testimony right there.
Yeah, because there's no reason why go to your grave with knowledge.
That's dope.
Right.
That's dope right there.
Like people say, oh, you can't take money, you can't take wisdom either. You can't take experience. Because when me and you have faith in something after this. We don't know for sure. Right? We can die and there'll be nothing. We can die, there can be heaven. We can die and whatever other religions believe. That can literally be the case. But what we do have that we can give away and that we have 100% faith in is our, like you said, testimony to people that are younger than us, people that will never see us, like with a podcast. And it's worth something.
Yeah.
Right? It's worth
Absolutely.
something.
Yeah, pouring down into the generation after. It's good to have somebody pulling you up and on one arm, and then on the other one you're pulling somebody else up. Usually the person pulling you up is older or more experienced in life.
Yeah, man.
And the other person is, because we're going up. It's a ladder. We're all growing. And the trees above the smaller trees pollinate the trees underneath.
Yeah.
And the trees.
Life is so simple, man. That's what I really started to understand. Life is so damn simple. We just make it complicated.
Yeah, we do. Most things, yeah.
Man. But anyway, you have some questions for me?
Yeah, I got some things over here. I don't know how
because we talked about a lot.
I don't know how much of these are already
answered. Yeah, you just pick whatever you want. We're an hour, almost 2 hours in. So if you just want to pick like 2 or 3, I don't want you to be here forever.
Oh, that's okay. I'm not doing nothing. How do you measure success? I don't even know if I know how I measure success.
It's a beautiful question, and forgive me if I think about it.
Nah, take your time, please.
Repeat the question because I want to say it how you said it.
Yeah, how do you measure success?
The way I measure success is by results. If I set out to do something, and even if it's small, if there's results behind what I'm chasing, that's success. Every pound, even though it was significant, led up to something great. That's success.
Okay.
Every conversation with podcasting that made me a different man, that's success. So yeah, success to me is results.
Okay. Mine is similar. It is ultimately the results. But the efforts in itself, in the process, is a result.
I love it.
If I don't get the results that I expected, the effort that I put in still created some type of result I wasn't expecting.
Right.
And so I've done so many things that were good for me, and I was blind to the goodness of it because I was looking at a different result the whole time.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, the destination gives us what we want. The journey gave us what we needed.
Yeah, it's definitely
Like
the
you were
journey more
saying,
for
I
me.
didn't get the result I wanted, but everything that came out of it was better.
Yeah, that's it. And then next one is what matters most.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Pretty
matters
simple.
most? I'm sorry. I thought there was this or this. So
Sounded like a statement.
Yeah. What matters? I don't know, man. Everything. What matters most? When I'm dead, my son stands over my casket and says, "This is the greatest man I've ever met or I've ever known."
I had a feeling that you were going to directly go to your relationship with your son.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters.
That's beautiful. The way I would answer it is, there's one thing that matters most to me, and then everything after that is here on earth. And that is exact, like you are 100% right.
I mean, pleasing God, but I think that should just be mandatory.
Yeah, that's a direct statement of the relationship you have with God, and your relationship can be great with God without you being great in that relationship. It's all Him. What matters most is, to me, salvation, because I can do everything right in this world. I could have my own son standing over my casket being like, yes, this is the greatest man I have personally ever met in my living days on earth.
Right.
But if I myself haven't gained salvation, then the story does not continue.
Right.
And if I don't share that salvation with others, then there's a chance that you're the only Bible somebody will ever read.
For sure.
And,
yeah, and that can tie into like just like, let's just say you were a minister or you were a missionary and somebody said that about you. This was the greatest man I've known. Just because of that relationship they gained with God and etc. So yeah, so when I say that, it's just a accumulation of faith, love, family, all that stuff combined into one. But yeah, this is a great man.
And let me just say, your relationship with your son is a form of a direct copy of God's relationship with all of His children. So that in itself is somewhat of like what I'm saying right now is the greatest thing. Relationship, basically.
It's beautiful.
Because salvation is our relationship with our Father. And your son saying that this is the greatest man I've ever met is the same thing that God's children says.
Yeah.
About their relationship with Him.
Because I mean, that's what Jesus said. When you see me, you see the Father.
Yes. And when your son sees you, he sees the Father.
Yeah.
I see so much resemblance between who God is and my own earthly father, just because of him walking and chasing after Jesus, just trying to be more like God.
Yeah,
not doing perfect.
And that's why I wish, man, like I had that type of foundation of like parents, in the sense of like, I love my parents. I wish I was proud of my parents. I wish my parents showed me a better life. I wish they did a lot of things. But with Elijah, I am now carrying that responsibility of showing him and doing better.
Yeah.
When I play catch with him, when I play with him, I'm only seeing it as a father. I've never got to see it as a son. There's certain things you probably did with your father that when you have a son, you're like, yeah, it's just, I did this with my dad. He did this with his dad. It doesn't happen like that for everyone. So it gets really difficult, and that's why we need to make our opportunity the start to something beautiful. Yeah. Because when my son has a son, he now can say, my dad did this with his dad, and blah, blah, blah. Like, it has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I got a next door neighbor. She has like 4 kids. Mm-hmm. The oldest one, his name's Hunter, and he's like my little mini me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's not a dad around, and dude, I'm not dad quality, bro. Like I said, I don't know nothing. I'm 22,
Right.
but I can tell that Lord put him right next door, and then started giving me the provision of like having a car,
Mm-hmm.
and me making money, and me being my own boss. So I make my own schedule.
Oh, damn.
So I'll take Hunter to school in the mornings and stuff, and I know that Lord did that on purpose.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like when I had my, even to this day, like I just now started to feel like a father. Excuse me. It sounds weird, but I had siblings, and I'm the oldest, so it always felt like Elijah was like my brother or cousin.
I get that.
Right,
Yeah.
and
My
it,
dad kind of feel like
yeah,
you ever seen the movie Step Brothers?
yeah, because it's that I don't see myself as a grown up or as a man, if that makes. I think we talked about it a little earlier because I still have anime. I still have, but he sees dad. He sees how you see your father.
Yeah.
He sees me how I used to see my pastor or other men at my church. But now it's our role.
Yeah.
It's our turn. So it's like when do we switch over? Like now I feel like a man. I feel like, because like with Hunter, I'm pretty sure it still feels like just like a big brother.
Yeah.
It doesn't probably feel like, oh, I'm his dad because I'm teaching him dad things. I'm pretty sure it doesn't feel like that.
He feels like a little brother. People ask, like, are you all brothers? We just go ahead and say, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. But eventually, you will look at your seed and be like, I'm dad.
Yeah. No, he's said a couple times, like, I see you as father figure,
Right.
brother, all that. And there's a parable that Jesus said in the Bible about 3 talent men, 4 talent men, 5 talent men. Or I think I got those wrong, but basically a talent is just a measurement of money.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of them had 1 talent, and then it went all the way up to 5. But they were given these measurements of money by some ruler or some king of some sort, maybe a governor,
Mm-hmm.
because he was going away. And when he came back, all the people did something with the money. They either kept what they had and didn't do anything with it, or they turned what they had into more.
Mm.
And so he came back, and the man that had 5 talents turned it into so much more money. And the man that had 1 talent, he went and buried it and kept it safe, basically putting it in a jar or something under his bed.
Yeah.
And didn't do nothing with it. And so the man came back, and he was furious. And so he took that 1 talent away from the man that didn't do anything with it, and he gave it to the 5 talent man because he knew that it would be multiplied. The basis of that story, I've heard it put this way before. I know there's much to learn from that parable.
Yeah.
But this is what I got from it. The man that does well with what he's given will take up the slack of men that don't do well. Mm-hmm. They will be given what the other men don't do well with.
Exactly.
And so you are a 5 talent man. You not only do well with what you're given, but you take up the slack of others. Just like me with Hunter, he might not have a dad figure. He might have all these, boyfriends of his mom coming in and out of his life, and he can't even relate to any of them because they're adult boys anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But so I can step in and not take the full responsibility of being a dad because, of course, I'm not ready.
But be human.
But be human and be something that these other people couldn't, that he might need.
Yeah.
That's a 5 talent man. And so I see it with your boxing. I see it with your working out and everything.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir, you're doing well with what you've been given, which is sometimes only opportunity.
Yeah. And that's sometimes all people need.
Mm.
We get so caught up, like, it's frustrating because imagine how many people are good at something, but they either choose the bad path to go to jail. Like, there's probably somebody who died from either suicide, addiction, jail, police brutality, etc., racism, road rage. Somebody died that could have cured cancer. that could have been the next Michael Jordan. That could have been. We don't know because life is so straightforward to us that we don't look at it and be like, what could that person accomplish?
Yeah. That's what scares me so much. Like, I'm diabetic, and I know Lord tells me not to worry, and he's my provider and protector and stuff, but I do fear because I'm going to be humble and say that tomorrow is not guaranteed. And so that being said, how am I doing? Am I getting towards my potential? Like he's blessed me with the opportunity? Or am I slacking? Am I not doing everything that I can?
Yeah.
Is my time going to be cut short, and how much potential was not met? You know? So I'm really thankful for that amount of stress, that little tension.
Yeah.
Because as much as he tells us not to fear,
Kicks you in high gear.
Allows you some stresses to compensate for the lack of motivation.
I like it.
Yeah. I got a few more.
Yeah, do your thing.
What is something you simply enjoy about life? Not something that you most enjoy, not something crazy, but just a simple
The simple
enjoyment.
thing I enjoy most about life. Have you ever been in nature and it's nice and cool outside, like the weather now, and you close your eyes and you feel that breeze and you just hear nature?
Yeah.
Nothing better than that.
That's sweet.
Or like there's a trail over here, and you, putting on some music and just feeling the wind and watching the trees change colors.
Yeah.
It's or a simple sunset.
But you know that second you get into heaven, it's going to be that for eternity.
And be gangster.
That's what I believe in our
It's the
spirits.
goal.
We know that. We expect that in our spirits, so that's why we probably enjoy it so much.
Yeah, it's nice for sure. It's just simple thing.
What struggle in life do you believe you've been blessed with? Because some people just consider their struggles to be curses.
Being from the hood has been amazing. I don't let shit get to me. I know that because I started off losing, a loss is not the end of me.
Dang.
People grow up having so much expectations from their parents that they grow up and do Adderall, or they do different things to perform. And when they fail, they don't know how to experience or how to take it and motivate it.
Man, yeah, I'm just now starting to learn that, and so...
Oh, my mom's calling.
You need to take it?
It's all right.
Okay. So...
All right.
So, man, I'm not from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
And, shoot, I paint windows for a living. Like, I feel like I don't have any reason to be prideful. But, yeah, I'm starting to learn how much of a blessing failure is, and that it isn't the end of me. But it's 50-50 right now. Half the time, I still believe it's the end.
Yeah.
And so... I don't know if there's any advice that you haven't already said, but yeah, what do I do the next time I'm just like, nah, hope is lost? Because hopelessness is the number one knife that sticks in me.
You remember when you were saying the difference between a courageous man and a coward is the courageous man does something about it?
Yeah.
A hopeless man puts in hope where there's hopeless thoughts.
Yeah, he just claims it for himself.
Yeah,
he just knows there's a supply from somewhere else.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like when people say, "How do I lose weight? Losing weight is hard." Just go to the gym, and the next day you go to the gym. Well, what if I go to the gym? It's really, if you're hopeless, have hope.
Yeah,
it seems so like duh, but it of course it's hard. But when you have hope where there's hopelessness,
yeah.
You now are that hope. You are that beacon.
So I've kind of learned this lesson now that it's not the end.
Right.
And so I
like
know
you,
that
oh, go ahead.
I know that the lesson is a possibility now. I know that, I could keep on going regardless of how I feel. Now my fear is that I'm not going to remember that lesson in the embodiment of all that fear.
Sometimes you don't need to. Oh golly. So with Frank, again, the other podcast, he had to go to an AA meeting when he went on tour with somebody. And he didn't know anybody there. It was in a small town. And he was like, bro, I don't even remember their names. I don't remember what they look like. But I told him, you wasn't supposed to. It was only supposed to get you through that period of time. Because what you're learning now is maybe not going to be the same thing that you're going to use when you're 30.
Yeah.
Because it will now be ingrained in you. Right? I will have to learn how. Of course, there's always like honing your skills in boxing, but I damn near know everything about boxing in the sense of just being technical.
Knowledge. Yeah.
Right. You can always grow and learn, but with jiu-jitsu, I have no idea. So the things that I learned with boxing, the slipping, the this, and this, it's not going to apply over here. But what is going to apply is the work ethic that I gained from boxing. What the humility, because getting beat up is not fun, or running out of breath when you're trying to work out to your full potential. That is the stuff that's going to be
right
lasting.
Yeah. What feels like such a loss when I start to feel hopeless again, or maybe just like my efforts aren't going anywhere, is the time that I spend feeling hopeless. Because I know if I wasn't feeling so hopeless or like nothing I do is going to change anything, man, it could be 2 days that I feel that way. That's 2 days I can't get back.
Right.
And so that's what I feel like is a setback.
But what those 2 days should be is time to even, so like, I was having really bad anxiety attacks. Even when I smoked, I would have bad anxiety attacks. And it was two things I had to identify that I didn't know that I had to identify until I was out of that season of the anxiety attacks. One was energy drinks 5 days a week. Not a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? But also my grandfather passed away. And of course I was sad that he died. But the big fear was the unpredictability of death. He woke up that day, went to go work at the church, sat down, smoked a cigarette, fell and died. We have no idea why, right? So that to me was, man, Julian, you were 477 pounds. What if your body, even though you lost 169, what if it's ruined? What if you ran it for, like, what if your heart is bad, right? And now it decides to go out. Or what if your son just dies, right? That's what I was afraid of. And that hopelessness that I couldn't fix.
It controlled.
It ate me. It ate me up.
Yeah, I have that same worry and a lack of control when it comes to the relationship I'm now in with my girlfriend. Is I know that she came from God because of the way that I left it all to Him, and the certain prayers that I asked and talked to Him about, and the preparation I put into not looking for a wife, but to become a husband.
Yeah.
And then, she happened. I'm like, okay, me and her are not going to live forever. One of us is going first. And
I'd rather it be me, bro. I can't live without my man. Like,
see, I thought about that.
I want it to be me.
But to think about
That's selfish,
her
though.
living on,
Yeah.
and having to go through my death, like I know that both of us, regardless of her dying first or me dying first, like both sides is not what we want.
Yeah.
And
Let's got to die together. How about that?
yeah,
Let's do some Romeo and Juliet type things.
that would be dope. Right? That would be the
Me
best
and you
outcome.
just die together.
Like let's
That'd be all right.
Let's hopefully die on the same day by old age.
Yeah, yeah.
But of course that's not
the goal.
promised, and so I want that control. Can't have it.
Yeah.
So either I'm gonna be content and trust in the Lord, or I'm gonna go crazy trying to figure out a solution that doesn't exist.
But it goes back to what I said earlier. Would you rather, and this is what I had to ingrain in myself, would you rather worry about who's going to die or everybody live a long life and you don't enjoy any of it?
See, that's a way better solution.
Yeah,
way
that's
better perspective.
Because, like, man, if you can't not handle it, but if you can't control anything, don't let it control you in the sense of like let it drive you. Let's just say you're in a boat and you're in the middle of the ocean. You're trying to paddle. You can't go nowhere. But if you give up control to the element, you see the movies. You wash up on shore somewhere. You watch up.
Wow.
But you allow it to happen, and whatever happens or whatever comes from it when it's done, that is what you can control. Right? Let's just say you all right, I'm not going to paddle, and you still just end up in the ocean.
Yeah, I'm going to take this sunburn like a man.
Right. Okay, well, I've never had sunburn, actually.
Lucky, dude.
Shout out to melanin.
Yeah, I swear I never wear shorts. Never.
I tried to get sunburn on purpose just to see if I could.
Dude.
Still hasn't happened. I hear black people can get sunburn, but I don't know. I did majority of my running outside with no shirt on, so I don't know. I just got darker.
I'd probably give you like a little bit of my art abilities if you gave me a little bit of melanin.
Yeah, listen, man. There was this guy. I used to do comedy for a little bit when I first started back in 2020,
Hey.
and I had this comedy coach, and he told me I need my black card revoked because I didn't know what the Soul Train was. I was like, bro, I'm half white. But anyway, he knew what it was. But he was like, yeah, man, I'm going to take your black card. And I was like, bro, you can have my black card if I can have white privilege.
Hey.
Like, if we could trade,
yo,
go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Take it.
dang, dude.
But, all right, what was the other question?
Oh, man, what else do I have?
I got a pee, too.
Okay, you want to go ahead?
Nah, we can finish up.
Okay, all right. What's your favorite comic character? It could be really anything.
Batman.
Hey, yes, sir.
But Black Panther because he's black. No, but
I
Batman.
got some Black Panther down
Yeah,
there.
somewhere in there.
Comic.
Oh, which one? Oh, this one?
Yeah.
I got that from the comic book. Did you give this to me?
Oh, snap. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I think this is yours.
Cool. I was like, hey, I got that same
Yeah.
comic. I don't have that same comic.
But yeah, so Bruce Wayne. What I love about Bruce Wayne, especially when he had his kids, I had this tattoo: Justice, not Vengeance. Right? It's Batman, Dick Grayson.
That's Red Hood.
Yes, and then Dick. Oh my gosh.
That's Nightwing.
Yes, Jason Todd. Wow, that's his name. Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Damian Wayne, because I didn't like the other Robin. But anyway, I have that because he is the epitome of what a male role to me is. It's sacrificing everything about yourself so that nobody else has to experience that same pain.
He's a man, kind of a little bit like dramatically expressed. Of course, he has a
for sure
armored suit, armored car with a bat cave.
And you can't just keep beating up junkies, Batman.
And the only thing that's probably not right is the vengeance thing, but that's the version of Batman that's real.
Yeah.
It's the justice over vengeance.
Yeah.
And so what men like about Batman so much is that he has the fast car. Of course, he gets the women. He's rich.
Right.
And he knows how to fight.
But see,
and he has his garage.
Yeah, but see, with me, it's the Batman character. I'm going to plan out everything the best I can to minimize casualty, to minimize
risk.
damage, right? Like, the Justice League got mad when he had a contingency plan. Why?
Right.
Let's just say...
If they could have done it...
Right, they would have. Let's just say one of them went rogue. Or if somebody got brainwashed. How are you going to kill the Flash?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know.
Superman
Batman, let me just go to... this... Slow him down, of course.
Of course he's going to have
Do
some
this.
kryptonite in his pocket.
Right, like, man.
Superman's OP.
Exactly. I'm not saying people should die, right? Or superheroes should die. But people like Superman, Homelander was the great example of a superpower-based character should not be able to live. If you are damn near indestructible...
Yeah.
I think
that's why.
I think you should have a contingency plan.
Yeah, as they develop Superman as a character, that's probably why they emphasize that he grew up on a farm.
With these
humble people.
I think it's over there. It's the John Kent, or Superman's son.
Mm.
Have you played the game Injustice or read the Injustice comics?
I haven't played any games, no.
So there's a series of. This would probably be the last. Do you have another question?
Yeah.
Okay. So this last thought and then the last question. So Injustice is a story of the Justice League if they split up. And the way they split up is Joker, he manipulates Superman to think Lois Lane is Doomsday. So Superman attacks Lois, takes her, like, Superman punches her all the way to the sky. And Batman's like, Clark, that's Lois. And he snaps out of it. And she was pregnant with John.
Dog.
So, of course, Batman, he gets the Joker. And this is why I love Batman. It's not what he did in this moment. It's what Joker said about him. Batman was like, Joker, it's between me and you, bro. Why'd you do this? It was like, you're too hard, Batman. I wanted to play the game on easy mode. And for him to say Superman that can kill everybody in this world is easy mode speaks volume to who Batman is, right? But anyway.
Wow.
But Superman bursts in and ends up killing the Joker.
I remember a few things. He punches a hole through
his punches
chest.
a hole. Ooh, man, it was nice. I loved the way it looked. In the sense of, like, he needs to die. Some people need to die, right? Like Joker.
Yeah.
But anyway, of course, Batman and Superman, they have their quarrel, they fight. But in this storyline, they're still at war because the video games, they're going off of the video game. So, in Injustice 2, I believe it was, Batman sends Superman into the Phantom Zone. And John Kent, in another reality, gets picked up by Red Tornado and Val-Zod. But this Val-Zod's a black Val-Zod. He's a good guy. And they're like, hey, there's this dude named Omni-Man who kidnapped John when he was a younger kid from his actual parents and, like, had him kidnapped for years, right? So Omni-Man's killing all these Supermen across the multiverse. And we catch his signature when he kills a Superman because he absorbs his power or something like that. So anyway, John agrees to come help. He fights Omni-Man. And it's not Omni-Man. I think Omni-Man is another character. But he fights a character like Superman, right? And I think it's Ultraman. But he's losing. But he does have this blue strength that came from somewhere. And now he's incapacitated because that blue strength absorbed all his power. And Ultraman is about to walk up to him to take him back to the volcano where he kept him all these other years. But before he was able to do that, guess who kills Ultraman? Superman. And it's the Superman from the game. Yeah. So he was in the Phantom Zone, I guess got on this planet or whatever. And he ended up killing him. So John was like, why? Like, what's going on? Superman don't kill. And I guess, like, I forgot how he explained it, but John's like, okay, cool. And he ended up finding Batman and things of that nature. But it really shows that a character or somebody that is so powerful, they have so much strength. You know, they have so much authority. If you really think about it, he was like, bro, these people they're beneath me. Like, why do I need to keep humbling myself to creatures that are below me? I forgot why we got on this topic, but that's why I don't think Superman should be allowed to be a character, because he's too OP.
Yeah, they did represent that pretty well in the Boys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yes, favorite character Batman, but oh my gosh, the one I fell in love with was Black Panther, because of course the Black Unity, and to see like a king actually fighting for his people. Right. Like I said, America is Americans that all look different, right? And I just want to see like that Black Unity in something, and I feel like they did it really well.
Yeah,
in Black Panther.
Yeah, you like that movie?
I did. I didn't like the second one because they got beat up by the other people the whole damn movie, but you know, it's all right.
Yeah, I like the second one. It was it was sad that we lost the actor.
Yeah, it was, but we need another Black Panther. It can't die with him.
You think they're gonna recast?
Yes, because in the second one he has a son.
Yeah.
And his name is T'Challa.
They're working on the Young Avengers.
Yeah, and because that's the thing, like black people fell in love with that because it was our first black superhero we got to see in the big screen, but we made it as Chadwick is Black Panther, not Black Panther. Or
he got tired of
it's
people making him do the Wakanda.
Yeah, because we thought Black Panther was T'Challa, but no, T'Challa was Black Panther. Black Panther is his own entity, his own character.
Right.
There was 7 Supermen, 7 Batman, but the character lives on, so that character needs to live on as well.
My last question was, what's your comic book upbringing?
It's a great question.
Where'd your love come from for these characters?
So, it started when I was a grown man, actually. I don't know if you... No, I don't think you met him when we met. But anyway, I grew up an anime guy because on Cartoon Network they had Dragon Ball Z, they had Naruto. What else they have?
Airbender?
I don't know if that's an anime. People say it is. My anime they kill, okay, guys? In my animes they
Copies
kill.
a little bit of the style in Airbender, but I understand what you mean.
But no, their fight scenes were great. Airbender's fight scenes were great. But yeah, so I used to watch anime, and then when I grew up, of course, I played like the Dragon Ball Z games and stuff like that. But what really introduced me to comic books is Big Bang Theory. They were in the comic book store. Yeah, they were in the comic book store. I was like, man, that looks dope.
They referenced it and everything. They all dressed as Flash.
Yep.
Because Flash had like pretty much reflections of himself following him running.
Yeah, he was so fat. Yeah, but that was crazy.
Like different frames.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was like, man, let's go to the because of course that's Marvel was big with the Avengers and stuff. I got into that, but I was like, man, that'd be cool. Let me go do that.
Yeah.
So I fell in love with the characters with the movies, but I fell in love with comic books because of Big Bang Theory.
That's cool. I used to watch Big Bang Theory too, and I had already been in love with all the superheroes and stuff. But man, when I watched it, they'd have on the outfits and just seeing the comic outfits, like has always sparked me. It's one thing that made me just want to draw a picture of it when I was a kid. Just Batman's outfit, Superman's outfit. Superman's outfit's the simplest superhero suit you can ever see, but it has the 3 primary colors. Like you can mix red, yellow, and blue together and make any color on the color wheel.
Right.
And they really went simple, and they just made a big, strong man.
Yeah.
And super powerful, super humble, and man, they went easy mode with Superman.
They just gave him everything.
When they just first created him in the comics, they gave him a whole bunch of powers we don't even see him have today.
Oh, dang. Was he the first comic book character?
No, I think there was...
Actually, Alexa, who was the first comic book superhero?
From Answers.com, Superman is considered to be the first comic book
Superman?
created by Jerry Siegel.
Wow.
In 1938.
Yeah. 1938. Wow. That's crazy.
With Action Comics.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because they were going on like a Western craze.
Mm-hmm.
They had all the Westerners, and they do the gun shootouts, and they didn't really... There was no karate or anything, but the Western men, they were just big, strong men. They beat up people.
Yeah.
And, man. And then they had Popeye and stuff like that, which probably started a little craze about powers. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool to think about.
But yeah, man, so with everything, 2 hours and 33 minutes worth of
that's good.
Conversation.
That's good.
What would you just... If I was Hunter and I just said, give me some advice, what would you give?
Trust in the Lord. Love the Lord with all your heart. And I honestly don't know if that's possible, to love anything as a human being with all of your heart. That's it's a pretty crazy expectation and commitment, but because it's not easy for anybody to lay down their life for anything.
Right.
But I just know that he'd always have a father.
Yeah.
He'd follow the Lord. He takes care of you. There's a lot of promises. You can hold up God to his promises. You can hold it up.
For sure.
And be like, Lord, you said it, you know. Because he can have a lack of everything else, but if he isn't without the Holy Spirit, he's going to be okay. Even if he has lack in this life so much that it leads to his own death, at least there is a heavenly outcome. And that's why I answered what matters most that way is salvation. But advice life-wise, just we're on earth, respond, don't react.
I love it. Well, James, it's been a pleasure, buddy.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Care if I shout myself out real
Do
quick?
your thing.
All right, Classwork Sketches is my Instagram, just like drawing on your homework. Facebook is my name.
Remind them.
Instagram, Classwork Sketches. My Facebook, my name, and my number is coming up next, 918-644-0648. Hit me up with a call or a text.
Beautiful.
That's it.
All right, everyone. From us to you all, may your pain be champagne.
Peace out.
And that's it.